Fancy seeing you here again. Yes, Adam. Hey, let's fucking go. I just did that exact phrase on this on a tweet I just did to share this live stream out. Hey, and look, deja vu. Hi, Poppy. How are we? I feel like we just were hanging out a minute ago, and here we are again. Hey, Dawn Marie, good to see you. I loved your live this morning. Well, it was my this morning. Your evening. Such a lovely, refreshing thing thing to listen to. You tell great stories, and I really got the New York vibe. If you haven't already, go and give Dawn Marie a subscribe. She has a great channel, brand new channel in terms of going live, doing live streams. So let's do it. Let's support rising seas, lift all ships, right? Let's support good people with good content. Yes. Oh, thanks, Sherry Berry. I've got new lip liner. It's pretty exciting. A whole bunch. And this is my favorite color. Yes, yes, yes. Who have we got in the house? Laurie Life 360 for the win. Yes, Colleen. Yes. Ernie Birdie, Sherry Berry, Candy Temple, LB, Adam. Where's Adam? I already said Adam. Let's fucking go. Yes. Amy. Hey, kids. Daisy. Yes, yes, yes. Well, welcome to my world, Daisy. It's all right. We're starting fresh. We're starting with new stuff. So you can watch the last stream on Replay Crew if you like. That's very helpful. Yes. Hi, Amber. Thank you, Amber. I never really have the headspace to do that. I would like subscriber only mode on for all of my lives, if that's all right. Mod Squad. Thank you, please, and thank you. My brain doesn't get to all of it. Yes, Curious Wendy's here. Hooray! Hooray! Oh, Poppy, not so much hooray. B. Allen's here. Let's fucking go. Debbie Blair. B. Allen didn't say fucking. He, she. Sorry. Oh, and StreamYard. Live viewer comments. Oh, thanks, StreamYard. I knew that, but okay. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Kerry Roberts is a clown. Yes. Ah, Mia Bito. Hi, baby. Vicky V. Hi again. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent, Daisy. I am also wearing pants. Sadly. Sadly. Updates are available. No, I'm not restarting. Oh my God, I almost pressed restart. Imagine. Later. Bye. Never. Remind me tomorrow. Bye. All right. All right. Oh, Dill Hall. Hey, hey. Yes, yes, yes. 10-4. Thanks, Amber. You're the besticles. Just like testicles, only better. Tick, tick, boom. That's it. Pants are so overrated. Mia's here. Everybody's here. Yes. Okay. So what are we doing? Well, Kerry Roberts, we need to talk. We need to talk. I don't know if I'd want to talk to Kerry Roberts, but I'm happy to dissect the things she said and how she said them on the stand, right? So how did this come about? I was listening to Sean McDonough when he had Olivia Lambo, who in chat you'll see is Olivia Nile. Oh, Kenzie, hi, good to see you. I'm a talker. Oh my God, I'm dying. Exciting. Sorry, too many vapes. Never going to change. Right. So I was listening to Sean McDonough and his discussion with Olivia Nile. And I don't know, I can't even remember what it was that set this ball rolling in my head, but suddenly I was like, wait a second. Not many, if any, content creators have, hey, Megan, good to see you. Oh, ouch. Well, I'm here to provide you hours and hours and hours of content to watch. Yesterday I streamed in total for 8.5 hours, 3.5 with my man Adam Drives Helen. Go and give his channel a subscribe if you haven't already, and 5 hours on my channel. So plenty of content, but rest up, feel better, Megan, and we love you. Thank you for being here. Exactly, Amber. Olivia's amazing. So articulate. In fact, I'm going to see whether I can get Olivia on next Saturday night at 7 to be on the panel that Reality Check and I are pulling together for a discussion. Yes. So I can't remember what it was, but my brain started thinking, right, why, knowing what we know now about what we assume now about Kerry Roberts, let's not forget that she was included in that, was it random? Brian Albert, Colin Albert, Jennifer McCabe, and Kerry Roberts in closing arguments in the Karen Reid trial. Why was she included in that? Was that a reward for her testimony? Do you think that they, being the McAlberts, thought that it was a win for them to not have had Kerry Roberts cross-examined by either Alan Jackson or David Yannetti? What's going on there? What's the utility of having Kerry Roberts included in those people, in that four? I also thought that, given that it was a very long time ago, forever ago, but also day 16 of trial, random, we know a lot more now than we did then. And I don't know, I know some people were very well versed on the ins and outs of things, but more stuff has come out in the wash since trial and throughout trial. And we've done a lot of discussions about this. So shall we? Well, yeah, we are. That's what we're doing. We're doing it. So if you're not here for that, I don't know. We'll shall we watch her testimony and, like, with a microscope? Because I remember thinking, she's kind of believable. She seems quite credible. A little bit snarky, a little bit of a bitch, but like it was, like I was fine with there being no cross-examination. I'm like, well, everything she said seemed legit, seemed on the up and up. So obviously, Alan, Karen's defense team made that decision to not cross-examine her for a reason. I wonder what they do differently now. I think they'll probably cross-examine her if there's another trial. What do you think, chat? One's in the chat if you think there's going to be a second trial. Just one's in the chat. One's in the chat if you think there'll be a second trial. Hi, Candy. I already said hi. Okay, so, but probably they should have cross-examined her, but maybe that was further cemented by the fact that she was included in that summation 4. I like to call them ones, twos. Ones. Yes, I think so too. Colleen thinks yes. So we got Ernie thinks yes. Vicky thinks yes. Mia says too. So she doesn't think there'll be a trial, I presume. Colleen says yes. Candy says yes. I think there will be. And if I'm going to be honest, from a content consumer, that excites me. Not for Karen's sake. I obviously, like, setting that aside, it was bloody good viewing. But yeah, okay, yeah, Candy hoping no trial, but Morrissey, and this whole Hank Brennan, right? Jess is in the house. Yes. No more attic for now, but we are going to have an emotional support group chat and at some point watch Pleven's closing arguments, because I haven't watched that either. I'll see if I can get Better to come on with me and roast with me. We'll see. Hope not for Karen, but one. Yes, LB. Yes. So, and guess what? I've queued it up. Yeah, I have actually queued it up. I've queued it up so that we get to see. Wait, I'll make it. I'll surprise you. Because have we missed the only fan? We might have. Bit of OnlyFans. Hang on, let me just check on the volume here. I think I looped it down for I don't know how much OnlyFan is. I just didn't want to miss any OnlyFan. Make sure. Jennifer McCabe. Hey, look, they timestamped it. Okay.
To give you one other instruction in this one. All the instructions are important, but this one's important, so I want you to focus on it. Now, you heard from
the Wait. How can anybody see Madam Court Reporter without seeing Auntie Deb's parody of Madam Court Reporter? I mean, she's a queen, but
The last witness, and you may hear from other witnesses who described what Ms. McCabe called harassment and public demonstration. I believe she referred to a rolling rally. I permitted that testimony for a very limited purpose. That testimony was not offered, nor may you consider it as evidence that Ms. Reed has bad character or propensity to commit crime. In fact, there's no evidence before you that the defendant is responsible for that conduct that was described by Ms. McCabe. The evidence is relevant only insofar as it goes to the witnesses or to explain the witness's state of mind. So Ms. McCabe's state of mind, and that is to the extent it explains Ms. McCabe's conduct or statements or actions at any particular time. And ultimately, the testimony may be used by you only as it goes to the witness's credibility. Okay?
Sherry Berry Adams' channel is called Adam Drives Helen. I'm sure Adam or one of my amazing mobs, we are a mob, moderators will drop Adam's channel into the chat. Great lives, so thought-provoking. He has people call in. Quite often it's me, I'm people calling in, and we shoot the shit, talk about stuff, talk about conspiracy theories, talk about like weird and wonderful stuff. Yes, Sherry Berry. Motherfucker, I am an asshole. You're no asshole. People ask me all the time, what's your channel called? I'm like, Miss Shorty. Like in chat. So, and then also while I think of it, I should have mentioned it, that my intro song and outro song at the moment is a song written and created by Turd Ferguson, aka Melissa Asylum. And then the video, what a video, is done by my beautiful man Adam Drives Helen. He's a videographer and a video creator and producer, editor. If you have a channel, I'm thinking I know a few people that have channels who might like to have some slick, creative, unique, personalized intro or outro or anything else for their channel. It's like mates rates, but also, you know, Helen's a thirsty girl. She needs her gas. So, but hit up Adam if you would like to have some video work done for you, and he can send you a creative brief and get you going. If you need a song written, I'll tell you who's the woman. Turd Ferguson. Turd is the word. Feckin' turd.
Thank you very much. So,
You're
Mr. Lally, your next witness, please.
Yes.
Mr. Lally, your next witness, please.
Turn on the call. I'll call Miss Kerry Roberts.
Lally, well, here we are. I'm sorry, chat. I'm sorry. It's Lally.
This stand.
Okay.
Thank you, Kerry. Yay. Pimp me out, my love. I'll pimp you out, bitch.
50%
of the crowd.
Thank you. You get the stand.
Steel hole. Come on now.
All right, Mr. Lally. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Kerry Roberts, Roberts.
And where you live, ma'am?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton, Mass?
10 years.
And who, if anyone, do you live in Canton with?
My husband, my 2 children.
Okay, so straight off the bat, Kerry, lean back. Oh my God, what did I just do? Kerry, lean back from the microphone. And please don't.
Please answer the evidence given to the court during the case against the truth.
God
the truth,
damn
and
it.
the truth, so help you God.
I'm a professional. Kerry, for starters, can we please not breathe into the microphone? I can't beg for Lally to not say what, if any, because he will. But that, oh my God, this is so sensitive. I got
Please
this.
answer the evidence given to the court during the case
sorry,
against
what's
the
that
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. You get the stand.
Third Ferguson. Third is the word. Yeah?
All right, Mr. Lally. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Kerry Roberts, Roberts.
And where you live, ma'am?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton, Mass?
10 years.
And who, if anyone, do you live in Canton with?
My husband, my 2 children.
And your 2 children, how old are they? And boy, girl?
My son is 12, my daughter's 14.
There's
And
4
does he
kids,
work
right?
I do.
what do you do for work?
I'm an executive assistant.
Oh, we're on 1.25 chat.
17 years.
And your husband, Kurt, does he work as well?
Yes.
What does he do for work?
He's a heavy equipment operator.
And how
He's
long
the
has
heavy
he been
equipment.
Maybe 20 plus years.
Hi,
Now,
Mona.
if I could turn your attention to the evening of
Hey, the
January
post
28th,
is I love it.
into the morning of the 29th. Do you recall those dates? And do you recall what days of the week they were?
Say it again.
Do you recall what days of the week they were?
Friday,
So 28th
Friday the 28th,
into a
Saturday the 29th.
Now, on the evening of the 28th, do you recall what you were doing that evening?
I was bowling with my daughter and her
Oh.
friends and one of the mothers.
And do you recall where that was?
Westgate Lanes in Brockton.
And about what time was it that you got home from that?
Probably about 8:30ish because there was a storm coming, so we wanted to be home. I didn't want to be out late.
And when you got home, you and your daughter, is that correct?
Say that one more time.
You and your daughter came home around 8:30 or so?
Yes.
Who, if anyone else from your house, was home when you got home?
I think my husband was home. He was going out. I think I passed him and he was heading out to meet his friends. My son was not home.
And who were the friends that he was going out to meet?
John O'Keefe and Michael Camerano.
So, Ms. Roberts, I'd like to start with just Mr. Camerano. How do you know?
He's been childhood friends with my husband.
And do you know where your husband was going to meet Mr. Camerano and Mr. O'Keefe?
Miss McCarthy's. It's a bar in Canton.
Sort of in the center of town, is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. O'Keefe, how
Yes.
do you know?
I've known him since high school,
And where did you go to high school?
Braintree High School.
And how is it that you came to know Mr. O'Keefe? How would you describe your relationship?
I have 5 more to gift out.
He was one of my closest friends.
Make sure you've got your membership.
In addition to John O'Keefe, through growing up and going to Braintree High, were you familiar with any other members of the O'Keefe family?
Yes, Kristen, his sister, was a senior when I was a freshman. John was a year older than me, and Paul was 2 years younger than me. So at some point, I was in school with all of them.
And after high school, at some point,
Kurt Roberts.
did you come to know any of the members of the O'Keefe family while you were living in Canton?
Yes, my son and John's nephew went to an in-home daycare together. So I went to go pick up my son at one point, and Kristen was there, and we figured out that we lived in the same neighborhood that we were going to be moving into. And then Kristen got sick.
Sidebar. I was going to go in and gift 5 memberships and pay for them. Laurie says once there'll be a trial. Yes. And when I went to membership gifting, so I went to my channel on another and did it, and it said I had 10 to give away. So I'm like, oh, thanks YouTube, love your work. So if you're in chat and you aren't a member, I will gift the other 5 probably tonight, or I might leave it till tomorrow night because I've got 5 more to gift this month, and it's only just October. So I didn't do any last month because I didn't even really know about it. But anyway, cool story, YouTube. Love it. Do that more often. More of that. More free gifts.
And during that time, sort of when you first reconnected with Kristen, about how old was your son and her son?
My son was 18 months. Patrick was,
My pleasure.
he's almost a year older.
And your son and Patrick Furbush, did they end up going to the same school in Canton?
Yes, they went to home daycare. They went to preschool, pre-K. And by the time they got to elementary school, they got separated because they were troublemakers.
But did they go to the same school all,
Yes.
all throughout?
Yes.
And obviously members of little shorties and big shorties. There are 2 levels, but I'm pretty sure the gifted ones are the little shorty. But everyone has access to the members only emotes if you're a member. And I've done with Adam 1 so far, members only live stream, and I do post other things in my community tab and do some members only shorts. So there will be another members only live probably coming this week, actually, perhaps next weekend. So yay, welcome your members.
And what, if any, other activities did your son do along with Kristen's son, Patrick?
Well, Patrick wanted to try hockey. So they did hockey together, and then he didn't like that. And they played baseball together since they were T-ball, like 4 or 5.
Kurt Roberts. He also testified.
Now,
Remember, he made sure that he, plowed the driveway before she got home because she's a bit of a bitch and he didn't want to have her wrath.
you mentioned that Kristen O'Keefe or Kristen Furbush at that point, at some point after you had met her, she got sick. Is that right?
Correct.
Eventually, she passed away. Is that right?
Correct.
After she passed away, her husband also passed
My
away.
pleasure.
Correct.
My pleasure.
And,
Welcome.
At some point after
Welcome
that,
aboard.
what, if any, role did John O'Keefe have with reference to?
Well, when Kristen passed away, I was in touch with John, just seeing if they needed help with the kids, getting them to and from wherever, because I was down the street. Kristen passed away, and then he said, I might move in. Steve's got to figure out finances, but I might move into your neighborhood. And I said, oh, okay. And And then when Steve died, John did move in and he took over raising the kids.
And fair to say that you were, with reference to your son being friends with his nephew Patrick, you would see him fairly often, and by him I mean John O'Keefe.
Oh yes, daily. Mhm.
And what, if any, at some point did John and his niece and nephew move from down the street from your house?
Yes, they moved across town. So I live on the Milton side. He moved over sort of near the Stoughton side.
About how far a drive is that sort of from your house to where you moved to? It was on Meadows, correct?
Yes, it depends because Canton's terrible for traffic. Maybe 7 minutes, maybe 8, depending. And if it's in the evening, it's longer.
And after Mr. O'Keefe and his niece and his nephew moved sort of across town, where did his nephew Patrick, where did he go to school at?
He remained at the same school that he was at with my son. So on Wednesdays, when John couldn't grab him in time because he'd be working in the city, Patrick would come home with me.
You were familiar with what Mr. O'Keefe did for a living?
He was a Boston police officer, but at the time he was working in an office registering sex offenders.
And so you would help out as far as picking up his son. What, if any, assistance did you have with regard to his niece Kaylee as well?
Say that one more time.
What, if any, assistance did you have with regard to Mr. O'Keefe and his schedule with regard to his niece Kaylee as well?
I didn't take care of Kaylee as much. That was sort of, there was other women, Jen McCabe, one of them, she sort of really took hold of caring for Kaylee because her daughter was friends with Kaylee, and I sort of got Patrick. So
Miss
John
Lally,
was gonna-
you have to keep your voice up. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sorry.
And if you could keep your voice up too. Okay?
My apologies. And then through the years that you knew Mr. O'Keefe when he lived in Canton and your time being friends with him, what, if any, conversations would you have with Mr. O'Keefe in regard to any sort of relationships or dating or anything like that?
Well, he dated a lot of people.
So here's a fun little Miss Shortyism. During the trial, in my head, every time Lally was killing our lives with his what if any, I had a little song that would go in my head, and I would even sing it out loud. I'd be like, what if anything, what if anything, what if anything. Ugh, my autistic brain could not get it out of my head.
But
So
as
it
far as
depends.
Your conversations with what, if any, sort of role would you have, or what if any,
Got a
knowledge
breather.
would you have in reference to the people that he dated?
My husband, whenever he would go on a date with somebody, he would have my husband come meet them, sort of say, like, what do you think? And he had a couple of girlfriends that were very nice.
What's the
Now, at some point, did
Okay,
you
wait.
become aware of a person by the name Karen?
Yes.
Henry. So pause, play, K. So hey Adam, do I just press the K button and it plays? Do I not have to go? I don't know. So she said he had a couple of girlfriends, which were very nice. The inference there is, but not Karen, right?
And when was it and how was it that you first came to know that person?
John called me and said, Karen and I are going to stop by because we had people over. And I said, who is Karen? Because I didn't know if he was going to bring someone from high school and surprise me with a random, I had never heard of her. And he said, you know who Karen is? The girl I'm dating. I said, nope, but okay. And then they came over that night.
And do you recall when about that was?
I think it was sometime in July.
In July what year?
What are we, 2020?
Sometime shortly after sort of the COVID pandemic.
Yes.
How would you describe your relationship, if any, with Karen?
She was like another person that took care of the kids. She took care of Kaylee and Patrick a lot. So I would coordinate with her if Ryan and Patrick were going to go to the golfing range, or if Ryan was going to go with them to the Red Sox game, that kind of thing. We weren't do lunch or hang out like girlfriends.
Was there any occasions where you had
Thanks, yes.
socialization or go out as couples?
All right,
like
for no
that,
broad.
Mr. O'Keefe?
No, they came over our house one time, and then we'd do baseball tournaments down the Cape, and we'd all get together. But the four of us never went out.
Yeah, support my new lip liner addiction. I'm back on the lip liner train. I have never been off the lip liner train for streaming, but I fucking love that shit.
Just for clarity purposes, do you see Ms. Reed in the courtroom today?
Yep.
Yep.
Identify her as to where she's seated or an article of clothing she's wearing?
Say that again.
Could you identify as to where she's seated or an article of clothing that she's wearing?
She is seated at that front table, and she has a black and white suit jacket.
All right, just that's the record reflects.
We love you, Karen.
By the witness.
Yes. Fuck off, Kerry Roberts.
Now, coming back to that evening of the
Love you, Karen.
28th, your husband went out to meet Mr. Camerano in this room.
Yes.
And do you know about what time it was that your husband Kurt arrived home that night?
Maybe around 10:30.
And after he arrived home, what, if anything, specifically do you recall the two of you doing or anything before going on set?
I remember sitting on the couch and the front door is right there and it was open and it started to snow. It had just started to come down probably about midnight, but it was coming down fast. So you knew it was little snowflakes usually mean a big snowstorm. And I said, well, it's starting. So we went to bed because we knew we weren't going out anywhere.
The coffee link?
And as far as
Are you a little?
turning your attention to the next morning, at some point you awoke. Do you recall what it was that awoke you that morning on the 29th?
Karen called me at 5 o'clock in the morning.
And is that sort of a normal occurrence as far as Ms. Reed calling you and specifically calling you that early?
No.
Wendy, can I be Barbie? I be Barbie? I'll be Barbie. Thank you. That's really kind of you. Thanks, guys. You're making me blush.
And when you went to answer the phone, at some point, did you look at sort of like the screen to your phone?
I don't know. I just answered
Ask
it.
this in a different way. As far as at some point, did you realize or did you know whether or not that call that at some point you answered, correct?
Yes.
And the call that you answered, do you know whether or not that was the first call Ms. Reed had placed you that morning or no?
It was the second call only from looking at my phone after because I said, oh, shoot, she called me. She just called and I didn't. She called twice.
And the phone call that you answered, what time was that?
5 on the dot.
And if you know the from looking at your phone, the phone call that you didn't wake up or didn't answer, do you know how long?
Try that one,
phone
Amber.
call was?
I think it was a minute or two before.
Buy me coffee.
So 5 o'clock on the dot, you
You
get a
don't
phone
have
call,
to.
you answer it, and it's Ms. Reed, is that right?
Correct.
And that phone number, you had her sort of programmed into your phone as a contact, is that correct?
Yes.
And on prior occasions, had you called that number or gotten a call from that number on prior occasions?
Yes.
And when you got that call or made that call, who was the other person on the end that you received?
Say that again.
Maybe a pretty simple question as far as it goes, but just with reference to any prior phone calls that you either got or received with that number that you programmed into Karen Reed. When you spoke to someone by calling or receiving a call from that contact, who was on the other end of the call?
Karen Reed.
So yes, may the force be with you. Jury was all snoozing, and I think I was a little snoozing in this testimony. Like I said before, I found it to be on its face reasonably mild, believable. I didn't love Kerry Roberts, but I didn't hate her. That's why we're here. We want to watch this with our newfound understanding of things and of perhaps Kerry Roberts' character, what we can assume it to be, and her. I mean, what's her involvement? Let's work this out.
So you answered the phone sometime right around 5 a.m. and you described to the jury sort of what the content of that conversation was.
I answered the phone and she said, John's dead. Kerry. And then she hung up.
And as far as her end of the conversation, did you say anything or get a chance to say anything before she hung up?
No.
And when she's speaking to you and saying those words to you over the phone, how loudly is she saying those words?
Very loud. She woke my husband. He was sleeping.
By the time the phone rings and you pick it up, your husband's sleeping, correct?
Yes.
And then afterwards, he's awake.
Correct.
Now, what happened then?
Then I got out of bed and Kurt said, what was that? I said, I don't know.
So that's a good question, yeah, Jane. I wonder, I mean, the vibe we got from Kurt Roberts is that Kerry Roberts was a bit of an old shrew, in her, how she was as a wife. And then I guess she's probably younger than me, but so's Jill Daniels. Sidebar, Jill Daniels is 5 years younger than me. Oof. But I am very youthful, being a Disney princess and all. Idea Delight's here. Yes, great music. Yes, that's my intro song. Pop yourself on 2x speeds. Can someone drop in the chat for me for Idea Delight to watch on 1.5x speed to get them up to where we are. Yes. So where was that question? There we go. Oh my God. This is the question. So I wonder also whether her outfit was coached. They generally are. by Lally, whether they wanted her to seem as like demure and believable and calm and credible and mature. I mean, let's remember Jennifer McCabe, none of those things. So yeah, it's an interesting question. Perhaps that's just what Kerry Roberts is like. And I got the feeling from Kurt Roberts that she's not the most fun, loving, happy-go-lucky kind of girl. But when she said it just before, she said we went to bowling. Like it sounded like it pained her to do something fun, right? So yeah, I don't know, Kerry Roberts, y'all.
Oh, I don't know, something's happening. And I think I started getting dressed at that point because I don't know if I started getting dressed at that point or after she called back again. I tried to call her, I think a couple times back to be like, what is going on?
Thank you.
Finally, she called me back again and she said,
Hey, Ashley.
I'm afraid John might be dead.
Debbie
He
Blair.
might have gotten hit by a plow. He did not come home last night. I was not supposed to stay in Canton last night and he would never leave Kaylee alone. I think.
Yes. I was actually going to say that, Brenda Price, matronly. I was going to say something mildly derogatory. I bet she wears real sensible shoes, yeah? Really sensible. I pictured her in matronly nurse shoes. She seems matronly, sort of like plodding and methodical. And I get, remember, seems a bit stern. I don't reckon she's much fun. Like also being involved in a murder, but that doesn't sound fun either. But yikes, Kerry Roberts. We need to talk, Kerry
I
Roberts.
think something happened.
And do you recall earlier in the day of the 28th having any communication with either Mr. O'Keefe or Ms. Reed?
I did with John. He texted me.
Do you recall generally what that was about?
My son got into a scuffle with some boy at school, and Patrick wasn't in school at the time. I think he went to a doctor's appointment, but Patrick got wind of it. So John was calling to see if my son was okay.
Now, turning back to, again, that morning on the 29th, you called Ms. Reed a couple times. She didn't answer. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at some point, she called you back?
Correct.
And about how long was it after that initial phone call that you had where she hung up? How much time it elapsed between that call and the next one?
I don't know, maybe 5 minutes.
And so when she calls back, she makes those statements to you that you just testified about. And upon her making those statements, what, if anything, was your response?
I said, then she said she checked Kaylee's phone to see if John had called. And I said, okay, where are you now?
I bet she doesn't wear hipster shoes. No, she doesn't wear Birkenstocks or anything like that. Although I don't know if she wouldn't even wear Doc Martens. I don't know. She doesn't wear Vans. What does she wear? Like Skechers orthotics or something? I don't know. Sorry, Kerry Roberts. But you've opened yourself up right here.
And she said, I'm driving. Can I come to your house? Will you drive my car? I don't remember anything from last night. We drank so much. I don't remember anything. And I said, you need to go home and be with Kaylee if she's there by herself. I'll go look for him or something of that nature.
Pale pink Nike slides for the win, yeah? I also have white Crocs with all little Croc designs on them. I have pink clogs. I have a multitude of different colored sneakers. And I have steel cap work boots.
Because I said, you're going to get a DUI. If you were drinking all night last night and you don't remember anything, you shouldn't be driving.
All right. So next question, please.
When you were talking to her on the phone, what, if any?
Hey, Jill Hall, Crocs are so cool. Kerry Roberts isn't.
She was very frantic, and her voice was elevated. She was very frantic.
And the loudness that you were describing during the course of that first phone call, what, if any, observations you made with respect to that in regard to the second?
Same. Throughout the rest of the day, it was the same.
Do you indicate to her that she needs to go home? Is that right?
Correct.
And what, if anything, did she say in response to that?
She said, I'm going to come to your house. Will you drive my car? And I said, okay.
And after that, what did you do from there?
Okay, so the hit by a plow thing, it's speculated that Lucky Loughran, the plow driver, was supposed to be the fall guy. But when Karen said to Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts that she thought she had reversed into something, their plan, we think, me, the royal we, think that the plans changed, yeah, and that they realized they had an even better fall guy, a better scapegoat, a better someone to pin it on the girl, yeah, pin it on the girl. So she's already starting that narrative because that was the original narrative, in my humble opinion.
I started getting dressed. I think that's when I was starting getting dressed. And my husband said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I don't know. Something happened. John didn't come home. Karen's worried. So I'm going to go help her." And he said, "You're not going anywhere. It's a blizzard." And I said, Yes, I am." And I went downstairs. I started the car, cleared it off, and I sat there waiting, and she didn't come. So I called.
During the time that you're waiting in the car, do you know about how long period it was that you were waiting in the car?
I would say at least 10 minutes of sitting in the car.
And to that point, as far as when you went outside to the car, what, if anything, did you observe about the weather? And what, if anything, did you do with your car?
If anything, what if anything?
I cleaned the car off. I turned the car on. I got in it. And I thought to myself, well, she thinks he might have got hit by a plow or something. I'll see if there's any accidents. So I called the Canton non-emergency line. And I said, "Have there been any plow accidents? My friend's boyfriend didn't come home." And they said no.
Wait, the non-emergency line. Interesting. They didn't want first responders there, did they? No, they did not. They didn't want a rapid response for a police officer fallen. They wanted to make sure this is not an emergency. Take your time, I believe, because they needed for the Hoslong to dying cold search to take effect on poor fallen Officer John O'Keefe. Not fallen, murdered.
Oh, there were no accidents. So then I called Good Samaritan Hospital in Milton to see if anybody had been brought in a car accident. They said no. And then finally Karen called back.
Before we get to that, just in reference to, at any point in time, did you call Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
And when you called Mr. O'Keefe, were you able to speak to Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
Do you know how many times you called?
So just us. That's why we're doing this, because I don't think many, if any, creators have really gone over Kerry's testimony at all since the trial. Even during the trial, it was bland. One people thought it on its face, ostensibly, it seemed bland and somewhat credible. And the inference with the defense team not cross-examining her was that that she there was nothing to ask her. But then Kerry turned up at, "Oh, Ozzy, hey girl, how you going? Welcome. Good to see you. Sorry I haven't been in your chats much lately. I've either been streaming or highly occupied in my peasant work job. So thank you for coming along." Kerry, we don't know. That's what we're doing here now. We're going to watch and look and listen to what she says, how she says it, and the facial expressions she makes as she says them, to see whether we can pick out anything that we didn't see at the time, because she came to those closing arguments. Yeah. So why was she included in that for Colin, Brian, and Jennifer McCabe? So why was Kerry in that for? If she was such a benign, non-threatening, non-involved party in this, why was she included in that for? Yeah. So that's what we're doing. Let's work it out. Let's brainstorm this shit. Yeah. Let's see what we can see now.
My husband called him, and I think I called him.
And when was that in relation to you going out to your car and clearing?
That was when I was in the house. Karen actually said, "Can you try and call him?"
And you did, and you didn't get an answer.
Correct.
And do you know whether or not your husband got an answer?
He did not.
So you go out to the car, you're waiting, and you make those phone call initially to Canton Police. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you know who you spoke to at Canton Police?
I believe it was Officer Good.
Is that someone that you knew in any way prior to this day?
No.
We have mutual friends, but no, I'd never met him.
Wait. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry. Oh my God, Father. Mod Squad, I was just getting excited. Can someone please drop Ozzy's link in the chat? Actually, I probably could, because I have it in my things. But Aussie Insider is one of the biggest, best, most credible, most free Karen Reid content creators there are out there. She does amazing live streams. She does amazing videos. She breaks shit down. She's an amazing chick. She's my friend. Love our Aussie Insider deal. Get on it. Just that's all. Now let me find where I was, because dagnamit.
What, if any, observations today with respect to that?
Oh, it says where I was up to. Oh, thanks, YouTube.
Way behind them. I was still on speakerphone. Jen is driving. Karen's in the passenger seat, and we drove. I said, "Do you remember? Did you look through the house? Could he be passed out somewhere in the house?" She said, I don't know. I didn't look." So I said, "Let's do that. Let's get in the cars. We're not taking 2 cars. It's a blizzard. We're going to go back to Meadows, and we're going to go look in the house first. He could be passed out behind the couch or on the floor. Who knows?" So we went to the house.
Get ready, y'all.
I'm sorry, before you get into that, just as far as directionality and where you're going at this initial stage, you're sort of directing what's going to happen and where you're going to go, correct?
Correct.
Now, you had mentioned that the defendant said she was at Jen's house. You asked Jen who, and she said Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Objection. I'll allow it.
With regards to Ms. McCabe, did you know her, or how did you know her prior to this morning of January 29th?
I had met her once when John took her and I to Reebok because he got a 50% discount. So
Sorry, I just realized I didn't have my earbuds in, and so there was probably some echo there. Sorry, guys. I'll put them in now. Yay, I gifted my other 5 memberships, and who got them? Aussie Insider, Just Us, Brenda Price, Charlie Lynn, and Patty Poo. Welcome to...
we would go periodically and get the kids' shoes. So she, John, and myself went to Reebok, got shoes, and then we went to the hillside for lunch. That was it. I wasn't friends with her.
Is that someone that you had programmed in your phone as a contact? Did you have her information prior to January 29th?
No.
And when you went to Ms. McCabe's house that morning, how was it that you knew where Ms. McCabe's house was at that point?
I picked up Kaylee there a time or two for John and brought her home if I was heading that way because Jen's house is on the way to John's.
And so you go to Ms. McCabe's house, and can you describe for the jury sort of what you observe or what you see when you're first coming up to Ms. McCabe?
I pulled in the driveway behind Karen's car, and Karen and Jen are in the car talking. I'm still on Bluetooth so I can hear them. And Karen said that she remembered leaving him at Waterfall. And Jen said, no, I saw you pull up to my sister's house. And then at some point in the conversation, she said, what about my taillight? What about my taillight? And I looked, and there was a piece missing, but it was caked on with snow. You could tell.
Pause. Yes, I muted myself. I got my earbuds out, and then I realized it said muted. I probably mute myself once a stream at least. So I've got it out of the way. Huzzah!
There was a little black hole, but there was snow like caked on it, and it was a blizzard at this point.
Now, just as far as over the course of this early morning when you're making that drive from your house to Ms. McCabe's house, correct?
Yes.
So during that time, can you describe sort of what the lighting conditions were, what the roadway conditions were, what you observed as you were driving over there?
It was not light out yet, and it was really bad driving.
And bad driving in reference to snow, was that correct?
Yes.
So you get to Ms. McCabe's house, and during the drive from your house to Ms. McCabe's house, you're speaking to both Ms. McCabe and Ms. Reed?
Yes.
And with reference, I think you've said a couple times as far as a Bluetooth. So as far as what you're hearing on the other side of the conversation, is it just one person, or are you able to hear sort of everything that's going on in the car?
I could hear everything. It was like a regular phone call in the car.
From where you were, your impression was it was hooked up to the speaker of the car.
Correct.
And when you get to Ms. McCabe's house, or what you were just testifying about as far as the taillight, when is it that you're making those observations?
In Jen's driveway.
And so about how far away from the defendant's car were you the first time that you see or your attention is drawn to this taillight?
I was parked right behind them in the driveway.
And can you describe which part of the vehicle you were looking at as far as which taillight that you're observing this damaged?
The right passenger.
And so from there, as far as Ms. McCabe's driveway, you make these observations. Where is it that you go from there?
Say it again?
So after you're making those observations and you're overhearing that conversation, or you're having that conversation over Bluetooth, where did the three of you go?
We went to Meadows, to John's house.
And how was it that each of you sort of got from Ms. McCabe's house to John's house on Meadows?
Jen drove Karen's car, and I followed behind in my car.
And when you arrived there...
Turd, I hope everything's okay, but look, it was a perfect little bookend there of muting to muting, and here we are. We got through both of them.
Where did you go? Where did you park?
I pulled in right behind. She pulled her car sort of in front of the garage bays, and I pulled in the driveway behind her.
And when you say she, do you know who was driving?
Jen McCabe, sorry.
Driving in Ms. Reed's in the front passenger seat.
Correct.
And you're driving your car behind.
Correct.
So what kind of car did you have?
A Ford Explorer.
Do you recall what color it was?
Dark gray.
And as far as Ms. Reed, do you recall what kind of...
Speaking of Turd Ferguson, hang on a second here. What do we got? Have we got one there?
Looking for music that speaks from the heart? Meet Melissa Asylum on YouTube, where every song is a message of love, humor, and justice. She's crafting melodies to show creators how much they're appreciated, tunes to tell friends and family they're loved, and anthems to rally the world to help those who need it most. Join Melissa Asylum and let her songs inspire, uplift, and bring people together. Subscribe now and feel the love.
What kind of vehicle she had at that point?
A Lexus SUV,
Recall what color that was?
black.
Now, with respect to Mr. O'Keefe, do you recall what kind of vehicle John O'Keefe had?
He has a Traverse.
And do you recall what color that was?
It's like a beige green.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could ask to publish what's been marked as exhibit number 2.
Okay.
Mr. Roberts, directing your attention to the screen over here, do you recognize what is up on the screen?
That's John's house.
She's good, Adam.
Fair enough.
She's
Fair
good.
John's house looked like at around the time of January 29th when you went over that morning.
Much snowier, but yes. Oh, I said it was much more snow, but yes.
Now, not visible in this particular photograph, with the driveway that you're talking about, facing Mr. O'Keefe's house in Meadows Ave, as we are in this picture, whereabouts would the driveway be, to the left or the right or top?
To the right.
And, Your Honor, with court's permission, if I could ask to publish what's been marked as exhibit 91.
Okay.
Well, that's hard to see, Lally. Thanks, mate.
And again, Ms. Roberts, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
That is John's car.
And what is it that's behind John?
Behind a basketball hoop.
Barros, Ernie. Barros.
Not the rear of the vehicle, but sort of in the photograph behind on the other side of the passenger side of the vehicle.
Oh, the garage doors.
And there are 2 garage doors, one on the left, one on the right. Is that correct? You're familiar with this house? We've been over it a number of times when Mr. O'Keefe lived there.
Correct.
And as far as what, if anything, were you familiar with as far as Mr. O'Keefe having regarding sort of security around the house?
Security. He has a Ring camera that was in the driveway and a Ring camera that was at the side door.
And with regard to the garage itself, as far as you've been in there as well?
Yes.
And so what is behind the left door of the garage?
His big old blue convertible.
And on the right side of the garage, what, if anything, is in
What,
behind?
if anything, Lally?
I mean, he's got all organized stuff and kids sporting. I don't know if he parked in there or not.
Now, as far as how Mr. O'Keefe kept his garage, kept his home, was there a particular way in which he kept it? When he lived there, you know?
Neat freak.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He was a neat freak.
Okay.
And as you enter into this garage, what, if any, access would you then have to inside the home?
There's a set of stairs and it brings you right into like the mudroom, which leads into the kitchen.
Now, when you would go over to Mr. O'Keefe's house on this occasion, or any rules or preferences would Mr. O'Keefe have with regard to footwear?
You did not wear footwear in the house. You took your shoes off.
And is that something that applies to people who live there as well as people who are visiting?
Yes.
And how would you describe that a relatively strict rule?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Your Honor,
Oh,
with the court's
Lally.
permission, if I could,
Ugh.
I'd like to publish a portion of Exhibit 6, ring video.
Okay.
Gentlemen, if I could have from driveway video number 154. So, Ms. Roberts, you recognize what's up on the screen?
Yes, that's Karen's car and my car, and John's is in the background.
Now, in front of you on the desk, there should be a laser pointer. It's not. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, pressing on that button and pointing sort of at the screen, if I could ask you just direct the jury's attention to where you see Ms. Reed's vehicle, where you see your vehicle, and where you see Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle as well.
That is John's car. That is Karen's car. That is my car.
Is this fair enough?
That.
Where the cars were and what things looked like when you first arrived at Mr.
I'm
O'Keefe's house,
sorry.
Coming from this.
Law nerds. Lally, not a law nerd, obviously. Auntie Bev, not a law nerd. Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the 3 cars shown in the image.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Gilman.
Yikes!
Now, with reference to any individuals that you observe in this video, again, using the laser pointer, you could draw the jury's attention to who you observe and where they are.
That is Jen McCabe, and that is Karen Reed, and that's me.
And at some point, you enter in through the garage, is that right?
Correct.
Now, as far as the garage doors were concerned, when you came back that morning, what, if anything, did you notice about the garage?
The right garage door wouldn't close.
So it was open when you arrived?
I don't recall if it was open when we arrived, but when we were leaving, it wouldn't close.
And do you recall, with you have any idea of sort of how that mechanically worked, like how you would open, how you would close the garage door?
There's a code on the side.
And at any point in time, whenever you noticed that the garage door was open, were you or any of the people that you were able to close that door?
No.
And so is that the door that you entered into in order to get into the garage, to get into the mud, and take off your shoes and go out?
Correct.
And when you came into the house that morning, you went into the mud, what, if anything, did you do with your shoes, and what, if anything, did you observe Ms. McCabe and the defendant do with their shoes?
Jen and I both had taken our shoes off.
Oh, here we go. I meant to say hi, adventurous book mouse. Sorry, I didn't say hi when you came in before. It scooted past me in the chat. The chat's flying. It's not.
In the sort of steps in the garage before we entered into the mudroom. We took our shoes off, and Karen just walked in.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could just play the video for me.
Turd. Ozzy, I can make you a bunch of emotes if you like. It's my jam. They're just in Canva. I'll send you a DM. Oh, no. So John's rule, Officer John O'Keefe's rule, was no shoes in the house. And obviously Karen Reid, and I'm being facetious, obviously Karen Reid must be a murderous wench, because she didn't take her shoes off when she went inside John's house that night. And I mean, okay, maybe she was in a fucking frantic frenzy of a panic, wondering what the hell. So she didn't think to take her shoes off. I would have been more worried if she did take time to take her shoes off, frankly. Yeah, well, it doesn't happen.
Now, Ms. Roberts, with reference to the Ring video security system that Mr. O'Keefe had.
That's it, Sherry. I'll watch them later.
You know who had
Not a
access to
priority.
I do not.
that? You obviously, do you know whether or not Mr. O'Keefe had access to that?
He did, yes.
Okay. Do you know how or what device he used in order to access it?
I only know he had it on his phone
How do you know he had it on his phone?
because he would check it all the time to see if the kids were home or dropped off or.
That's something he did in your presence?
Yes.
Now, with regard to, at some point when you get to the home, beyond the sort of initial observations you made in Ms. McCabe's driveway with regard to the right rear passenger taillight of Ms. Reed's vehicle, what, if any, other observations did you make, or what, if anything else, did you do with reference to that area of the vehicle?
Karen did point it out at one point in the driveway. She said, my taillight, look at my taillight. And I looked at it and I said, you told me you don't remember anything from last night. She said, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? And I said, no, I don't think you hit him. I think you probably hit something, but let's just go in the house and look for him.
And so as far as your recollection is concerned, that sort of interaction that you had of looking at the taillight, when did that happen?
I don't know if it was when, well, it obviously wasn't when we got there. It was what must have been when we were leaving to go out to look for him.
When you what? I'm sorry.
I wasn't sure if it was when we arrived or when we were leaving to go back out and look for him. But now that I've seen the video, it's obviously when we came back out of the house.
Obviously.
And who was present for that?
Who was present?
Yes.
So which
Jen
is it,
McCabe,
Miss
Karen
Roberts?
Reid, and myself.
And as far as
See,
where Ms.
okay.
McCabe parked that vehicle at any point in time-
Okay, wait, let me wind that back a little bit without winding it back too far. Did you hear what she just said, chat? She just said, I thought it was before we went in the house, but now we've watched the video. It was obviously after we came out of the house. So wouldn't that have been a good something for the defense team? I presume probably David Yannetti, even Liza Little, probably not Alan Jackson. Any of them, but I guarantee it wouldn't. I don't think it would have been him. To cross-examine her just on that. Which was it, Miss Roberts? You testified to it being that she showed you the cracked taillight before you went in the house when you first arrived, but then the video shows that that did not happen. So, are you changing your testimony? Impeach her.
Oh, that.
No.
And so is that the door that you entered into in order to get into the garage, to get into the mud, and take off your shoes and whatnot?
Correct.
And when you came into the house that morning, you went into the mud, what, if anything, did you do with your shoes, and what, if anything, did you observe Ms. McCabe and the defendant do with their shoes?
Jen and I both had taken our shoes off in the sort of steps in the garage before we entered into the mudroom. We took our shoes off, and Karen just walked in.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could just play the video.
She's got the diabetes. BRB. Sorry, Tim, had to get cheese. Classy cheese.
Now, Ms. Roberts, with reference to the ring video
Exactly.
that Mr. O'Keefe had at his home, if you know who had access to that?
I do not.
You obviously, do you know whether or not Mr. O'Keefe had access to that?
He did, yes.
Okay. Do you know how or what device he used in order to access it?
I only know he had it on his phone
How do you know he had it on his phone?
because he would check it all the time to see if the kids were home or dropped off or,
That's something you did in your presence?
yes.
Now, with regard to, at some point when you get to the home, beyond the sort of initial observations you made in Ms. McCabe's driveway with regard to the right rear passenger taillight of Ms. Reed's vehicle, what, if any, other observations did you make, or what, if anything else, did you do with reference to that area of the vehicle?
Karen did point it out at one point in the driveway. She said, my taillight, look at my taillight. And I looked at it and I said, you told me you don't remember anything from last night. She said, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? And I said, no, I don't think you hit him. I think you probably hit something, but let's just go in the house and look for him.
And so as far as your recollection is concerned, that sort of interaction
Wait. Sorry, I'm eating. I forgot to unmute. I'm back. That's twice in one stream. Yay. Remember that Lally used the fact that Karen didn't take her shoes off as part of his yes. That Karen didn't take her shoes off. He said that in his closing arguments, yeah. So I guess maybe that he wanted Kerry and whoever, well, she was the only one there, her and Jen, to make sure that was iterated quite firmly, because he was going to use it in his closing arguments. Just an idea. Sorry about the muting. I paused the stream and didn't unmute my mic.
action that you had of looking at the taillight, when did that happen?
I don't know if it was when, well, obviously it wasn't when we got there. It was what must have been when we were leaving to go out to look for him.
When you what? I'm sorry.
I wasn't sure if it was when we arrived or when we were leaving to go back out and look for him. But now that I've seen the video, it's obviously when we came back out of the house.
Okay.
And who was present for that?
Who was present?
Yes.
Jen McCabe, Karen Reed, and myself.
And as far as where Ms. McCabe parked that vehicle, at any point in time that you were at the house, did that
Indeed.
vehicle
And
go
yes,
in?
cost many mutes.
I don't think so.
Never too many
Where
mutes on my
that
streams.
video is essentially where it stayed, as far as you know.
I believe so.
Now,
Copy.
with reference to those observations, or when you were looking at the rear passenger taillight area of Ms. Reed's vehicle, how close to the vehicle were you when you were making those observations?
Right in front of it. There was one piece, like a rectangle encapsulated, like whatever was broken. I remember there was one piece of metal sort of sticking out. So if it was an encasement for a light of some sort, I remember looking at it and the piece was sort of sticking out and I thought someone's going to catch their sleeve on that or something.
And now from there, when you arrived at the house, you go into the house, you take off your shoes. What happened then?
I started looking. Jen started looking. Karen, her and Jen went upstairs. I started looking downstairs. I started looking on the other side of the couches to see if maybe he passed out somewhere. And then I went upstairs and Karen was standing in John's room. The bed was made. She was just standing there and Jen had gone in to talk to Kaylee. And then I said, all right, let's go.
Now,
He's not in the house.
as far as
He's not in the house.
As far as your knowledge of Mr. O'Keefe, him not coming home when any of the children were home, was that something that was normal?
Him not coming home if the children were home?
Kerry
he would
did,
not
yes.
do that.
And obviously you knew Kaylee was there, but what, if anything, did you know as to where Patrick was?
He was at a friend's house.
And was that something that you knew independent of this morning, or what had transpired up to that point?
Say that again?
How did you find out that Patrick was at a friend's house? Even though
Karen said, I said, where's Patrick? She said he's at his friend's.
Just checking I'm not muted before I start talking. Yes, Mia, absolutely. When they had the most recent the motion to dismiss hearing a month ago or so, I realized that I had some pretty serious Lally PTSD. I was like, oh. Yikes. Yikes. But we'll allow it because we have work to do, right?
Friends.
so you were in the downstairs area of the home, is that correct?
Yes.
And looking through the rooms, you didn't find Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
No,
Now, at any point in time, did you go upstairs?
I did.
And when you went upstairs, where in the upstairs did you go?
Mine
At the
is
top of the stairs is John's bedroom. So I looked in there. I looked in the bathroom. I looked in the closet. I looked in Patrick's room. I looked in the other two bedrooms, and Kaylee was in her room. So Jen was in there, but I was looking through the house.
And as far as Mr. O'Keefe,
In fact, Jen didn't sleep at all that night if her steps and her Apple data are correct. And I mean, we could ask Ian Whiffen, or we could ask someone who's not going to spruik their own software. But yeah, Jen was up and about all night, pacing.
Mr. O'Keefe's bedroom, and there, what, if anything, did you observe as far as the condition of the bed?
The bed was made.
The bed was
You mentioned
made.
you looked in a variety of different rooms on the second floor. You said sort of two other rooms.
Maybe.
What, if anything, were those other rooms used for?
I think one of them was a computer room. It was the room that faced the front of the house, and the back room had a bed in it that Mrs. O'Keefe would stay in when she would stay over.
And again, just to be clear, when you say Mrs. O'Keefe, you mean John's mother?
John's mother, sorry.
And as far as the computer room, who, if anyone, had access to that, if you know?
Had access to the computer room.
What was it used for?
Oh, there was a desk with a computer or laptop.
And do you know whose laptop that was, whether it was John's, whether it was the defendant's, whether it was the kids?
I don't know if it was the defendant's at the time, but John's laptop used to be in that room.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, would ask if I could publish just a couple more photos on the screen for Ms. Roberts.
Okay.
Ms. Gilman, if I could start with Exhibit 92.
Wait, did they accept your offer? That's so exciting. Adam went to look at a brand new RV, a recreational vehicle today, because Helen's a bit small for an Adam, a Shorty, 2 dogs, and maybe a Tim, a cat. So that's exciting, Adam. Just got off the phone. Congratulations. Yay. Multitasking. I'll allow it. Congratulations. That's awesome, babe. Cool. Cool. Yes. All sorts of PTSD from all of these characters.
Ms. Roberts, directing your attention up to the screen, do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
That's Karen Reed's Lexus.
And specifically, if you could, using the laser pointer in front of you, direct the jury's attention to where you observed damage.
That's where the metal piece I was describing was.
What's depicted in this photograph up on the screen is that consistent with what you observed in Mr. O'Keefe's driveway and Mr. McCabe's driveway.
Wait. So let me wind that back. Was. Oh my God. Should I even be allowed? I don't think so. Oh my God. What did I just do? There we go. Wait. Hang on. Jesus. Yikes. What'd you say?
A couple more photos on the screen for Ms. Roberts.
Okay.
Ms. Gilman, if I could start with Exhibit 92. Ms. Roberts, directing your attention up to the screen, do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
That's Karen Reed's Lexus.
And specifically, if you could, using the laser pointer in front of you, direct the jury's attention to where you observed damage.
That's where the metal piece I was describing was.
As far as what's depicted in this photograph up on the screen, is that consistent with what you observed in Mr. O'Keefe's driveway and Mr. McCabe's driveway?
So,
Well, caked in snow.
Aussie, Not identical, because Barros didn't say that there was any metal hanging out, poking up like she was doing with gesticulating with her finger just a bit before. So I wanted to check on that because I didn't realize she said where the metal piece was. I thought she might have said where the crack was. So not identical testimony. Did he say metal? I don't think so. He just said there was a crack. It was cracked.
No, but yes.
Wow.
No, but
So,
yes.
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 And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next exhibit number 19. Again, Ms. Roberts, do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes.
Essentially a closer-up image of the same area, correct?
Yes.
And what's depicted in this closer-up image is that also consistent with what you observed in the
We'll behave, Adam.
Yes.
Now, Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask again if I could publish
Good question,
a
Turd.
portion of
Where is
what's
it?
been marked as Exhibit 41.
Okay. I mean, there's been some speculation that Kerry Roberts actually had some sort of feels for John. She seemed to have, yes, fondness for him. I don't think she was his mistress. I think he went for less matronly broads than Kerry Roberts. He liked a little bit of spice in his life, I think. Those slutty Sullivan sisters in Aruba. But yeah, she just knew a lot about him, didn't she? So she did say crack. Yes, that was he. Yes, I mean, Mia, yes, he was a good-looking fella. Not as good-looking as Adam, but he was all right. Interesting. But so then then the question is why if well, is it really a question? I guess if she was fed, if the fact that she was fed lies and bullshit and manipulative stuff by Jennifer McCabe. I guess she thought we could assume, Kerry Roberts thought, if that's the case, that she was doing the right thing by John. And where is the metal piece that was sticking out? Good question, Turd. Good question. Good question. Keep going. See, this is important.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could ask you to fast forward to about 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Dillhole. Ozzy, I think Dillhole might be quite fond of you too. Yes, Ernie, very territorial. Karen wasn't one of them, right? This is a problem. This was a problem for Karen. It always was. Yeah, can we pause it there? Good idea. Good idea, Lally. It was a problem for Karen even during their relationship when John was alive, Officer John O'Keefe, that Karen wasn't one of them. Yeah. It became even more of a problem when Officer John O'Keefe was no longer alive. For Karen, a problem, but suddenly it became a solution for the McAlberts, right? So this is an important comment. Miss Ernie Birdie, yes.
On the pause portion of the screen from this video.
That's John's house.
Bit of a skirt chaser, right? A cad, a juggalo, maybe.
And again, Ms. Roberts, directing your attention up to the screen, you recognize what's sort of in front of the camera in the video portion of the video.
That's Karen's car and John's car.
And where you observe Karen's car and John's car.
Right, Turd, it does seem rather incestuous, but also that's Canton, right? It's the small town thing. It's the incestuous nature of everything. It's the culture of the town. It's the culture of the town, without a doubt. But hang on a second.
Ready for the road less traveled? Join Adam Drives Helen on YouTube, where van life meets personal growth. And mysteries of the world come to life. Explore the unknown. Subscribe now. Adam Drives Helen, adventure, growth, and the unexplained.
All right, again, if you could just using laser pointer direct your attention where you observe each of those in this still frame here.
That's Karen's car. That's John's car.
And are those essentially the same positions that you were talking about that the jury saw earlier in the ring video from Mr. O'Keefe's house?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I mean, Colleen, you can email me, and I'm not sure about Aussie, but you can email me. I'm sure Adam, if he's done dancing, happy dances. That's so exciting. Oh my God. Actually, Adam, you should send me that link. Email me the link to the RV and I'll show everybody in a bit as a little bit of a Kerry Roberts break because it's pretty cool and exciting. But yeah, email me. It's missshorty@gmail.com and I'd love to hear your theory. Always, always. Theories are good. We are opening up our hive mind and collaborating on what we think's going on here and bigger picture. So let's do it.
Do you want this up on the screen or down?
Up for now.
Okay.
But just a moment. So Rob, I'm going to show you just 2 photographs. Ask you to just look at those. And
Is she Alice? Is she Alice, Adam? That's a mouthful. Adam drives
do you
Alice.
recognize those?
Everything's a
Or
mouthful.
do you recognize what's depicted in them?
Do I recognize what?
What's depicted in each of those photographs?
Karen's car.
And may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll seek to introduce in the minutes and next exhibits.
Okay, is there any objection? No objection. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, while
Definitely.
those are being marked, may we approach?
Hold on. Sidebar.
Yes, please.
Sidebar. I'll allow it. Wait, okay, so we've got a sidebar. Adam, send me that link. Babe, email it to me. So, what do we got? Poor Karen. Oh, she's right-handed. That's all right. Oh, Paul O'Keefe's crotch. I sent our friend Paul, friend of the channel, Paul O'Keefe's crotch, Tim, a DM again about a week ago to see if he's all right. I haven't heard back from him, so I hope he's all right. Send the love. Send the love. Thanks, babe. Thanks, babe. Let me just check. Let me see if I can do this without being a crazy person. Oh, adjacent to being a crazy person while they're doing their sidebar. Sign in. Just straight in. Straight in. Sniff, sniff. Oh, what is she? Oh my God. Yes. Why? I'll sign in. Can't. It is me. I'm telling you it's me. Why did it log me out of everything? What's my passkey? I don't know. Is this my passkey? See, this is a bad idea right now. Lisa. Use password. I don't know what it is. Something. Typing. Adam, is that too loud typing? Oh, I didn't type it right. Yikes. Oh no, I put a space. I just do one finger types. Two fingers. Thanks. Thanks, Gmail. That was handy. Appreciate you. All right, hang on. Just doing that for a second. Okay. No, I don't need that. Jeez. Oh, hi. I'm back. Here, let's look at this. Oh no! Wait, it's in my ear holes. They're back. Hang on, I'll press pause. Thanks. What am I doing with my life? This. Share. Okay, this is the van. This is the RV. Wait. Can we see it? Yes, we can see it. Cool. Marketplace. Okay, this is the van, team. Wait, she's a 1978. Doesn't look that snazzy, really. But wait. Oh, nice ass. Oh, cool engine. I love engines. That's so my jam. Ooh. Wait. Oh, that's good. Fancy. Ooh. It's got a dunny. We call it a dunny here. I don't know why. Ozzy, do you know why it's called a dunny? Don't even know. A little loft. Those seats look comfy, Adam. Ah, glorious. Wait, let me see what chat's saying. Dang. Dang. Good vintage. Yeah. We'll go back to the testimony in a second. Sorry. This is just exciting for Adam and for myself, for moi. Ooh, yoga, hard pass. Oh, I like the kitchen. That's beautiful. It's full swivel chairs. Oh, it's so fancy. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Coffee, love. That's that. Pretty cool, huh? Love it, Adam. Congratulations. That's exciting. All right, let's get back to Kerry Roberts. There is no cross for Kerry Roberts. No, there is not. It was questionable. And we're trying to work out why. Oh, wait, I pressed play and didn't share the screen. Lol. I was thinking, yeah, good work, Lisa. Ah, thanks for patience, y'all. Share screen. Good Lord. Okay. Oh my goodness. So, like I said, professional. Total professional. Here we go.
And Ms. Roberts, what's up on the screen now is exhibit 101. You indicated that's Ms. Reed's vehicle in the same position where Mr. Cave left the car from the truck, correct?
Yes.
Does this appear to be a still shot from the same video that you just saw in the prior?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit 102 now.
It's definitely me. I'm funny. I'm silly funny. My ear holes.
And Ms. Roberts, what's up on the screen? That's the second photograph that I showed you just a moment ago.
Yes.
That's essentially a closer up or zoomed in image of what's in the same still image that you saw in the prior, correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could, using the laser pointer, just direct your attention to the damage that you observed on the right rear passenger tail light of Ms. Reed's vehicle that one.
Mwah. Cheers, may the force.
Okay. You can take it.
Oh, Brenda, you're in New Zealand. Cool.
Now you go look through the home, you don't find Mr. O'Keefe, and what happens there?
Then I said, let's go look for him. If he might be walking home, or if you thought he got hit by a plow, let's just, and Jen and Karen wanted to go back to 34 Fairview where they were at. Jen said she saw her pull up to 34 Fairview the night before. So Karen really wanted to go back there. I was the one that said, no, let's drop a car off, go to Meadows and look through the house. And then we'll start looking if he's not in the house. So that's what we did. We got in the car and
What's doctored? What's proctored? I missed it. What's doctored? Dr. Proctored.
And Ms. Roberts, what's up on the screen now is exhibit 101. You indicated that's Ms. Reed's vehicle in the same position where Mr. Cave left the car from the truck, correct?
Yes.
Does this appear to be a still shot from the same video that you just saw in the prior?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit 102 now. And Ms. Roberts, what's up on the screen? That's the second photograph that I showed you just a moment ago.
Yes.
That's essentially a closer up or zoomed in image of what's in the same still image that you saw in the prior, correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could, using the laser pointer, just direct your attention to the damage that you observed on the right rear passenger tail light of Ms. Reed's vehicle that one.
Does look, doesn't it? It does look. Look there, where the pointer's just stopped. It looks dodge. It looks super dodged. Yes, Reese. It does. When, like, if you're on your phone, it might not be easy to see. I can't see it very well here. When I'm on my full screen of what, like, myself. Wonder if I can remove myself from screen. Can I do that? Hang on, wait. Remove.
And you can take it. Now you go look through the home, you don't find Mr. O'Keefe, and what happens?
Third time's a
And
charm.
I said, let's go look for him. If he might be walking home, or if you thought he got hit by a plow, let's just, and Jen,
God damn it. So I was muted, but basically when it was doctored, it was doctored. It looked suspicious on the full screen on my laptop, full screen, very suspicious. Good spot, Reese. 3's a good number, right? 3 mutes in one stream. That's a good number. I think yes. Sorry, you guys are so patient with me. Thanks, shorties.
Jen and Karen wanted to go back to 34 Fairview where they were at Jen's sis. Jen said she saw her pull up to 34 Fairview the night before. So Karen really wanted to go back there. I was the one that said, no, let's drop a car off, go to Meadows and look through the house, and then we'll start looking if he's not in the house. So that's what we did. We got in the car and we were going to head back to Jen's sister's house.
And so this conversation, as far as the defendant, as you're testifying, really wanting to go to Fairview, when did that occur in relation to when you got to Mr. O'Keefe's?
People
on the way
do.
from Jen McCabe's house to John's house in the car.
So this is over the Bluetooth as you're driving?
Yes, Karen said I left him at Waterfall, and Jen said, no, I saw you pull up in front of my sister's.
And,
Good
so
job,
after
Reese.
Coming out of Mr. O'Keefe's house, do you exit the same way that you enter?
Yes,
Come out the garage door, get into your car?
yes.
And if you could describe to the jury sort of where was everybody seated in your car when you did?
I was driving, Karen was in the back seat, and Jen was in the passenger seat.
And as far as Ms. McCabe's sister's house, at the time, did you know where that was or who her sister was or anything like that?
I didn't even know she had a sister.
And you know about how long a drive or how far a drive or what the route was that you took going from Meadows to her sister's house?
I think we went main roads because we were looking to see, I mean, I don't know what we were looking for, but we were looking for him. I don't know if we thought he was walking home or if he got hit by a
Interesting.
plow. So we went
Okay,
main
wait.
roads. We pulled out, I think we went Bolivar Street.
Interesting. Usually, a good prosecutor or a good attorney would insist that I guess she was talking about them as a collective, we in the car. I feel like she should only be speaking for herself. So when she says, I don't know what we were looking for, I don't know. That's dodge to me. This whole thing's dodge.
Street. And then Jen was giving directions because I didn't know where we were going.
And to be clear, Bolivar Street, you're talking about, that's Bolivar?
Yes,
And so then Ms. McCabe is then giving you directions as you're driving, correct?
correct.
Now, as you're driving, again, as far as what, if anything, did you see as far as plows or how were the roads treated at that time? What, if anything, did you observe in reference to that?
It was bad driving. There were plows out, but it was really bad driving.
Kerry dodged the truth.
And the visibility as you were driving from Mr. O'Keefe's house to Ms. McCabe's sister's house, how would you describe the visibility?
It was very poor. It was in
Very
the middle
poor.
of a blizzard.
It was the start of a blizzard, but okay, Kerry. I don't know. I think it's because I don't like her, but her ear poking out there of her hair grinds my gears so damn hard. I'm sorry, Kerry. I just want you to tuck all your hair behind your ears or untuck it from behind the ear there. I don't feel like it's too much to ask. That and the truth, yeah?
Now, when you get to the street, at some point you're directed by Ms. McCabe to Fairview Road, correct?
Correct.
And when you get to Fairview Road, do you recall whether or not you took a left or a right, or how did you come onto Fairview Road?
Off of Chapman Street, I took a right onto Fairview.
You took a right from Chapman onto Fairview.
Wait,
Correct.
so
And as you're coming down,
Colleen, I don't think that he fell and hit his head and gashed it on a. I think it was. I don't think the weight hit him. I don't think he hit the weight. I think he was hit with the weight. I believe that Colin. Speculation, Colin. Just my opinion. Don't come for me. Yeah, come at me, but don't come for me. I think my theory is that okay. Here's my theory. I think that John came into the house, that Brian, Albert, and Higgy were downstairs waiting for him with Chloe, because Chloe was down in the basement, not up in their bedroom, away from the party. I think that we know that John descended, ascended, and descended, not according to Garino, but according to facts. So he went down into the basement, and then I think got down there and saw it looked more menacing than he was expecting. Ascended the stairs again. At the top of the stairs, I believe Colin was at the top of the stairs, and Colin got him down the stairs. I think that then Higgy started punching. I think that Brian Albert was holding back Chloe, but not very well, and that the punches to the face. And then I think that Colin, being the little pussy bitch boy that he is, who can't fight, grabbed a weight and clocked John on the back of the head with that weight. That's what I think happened. But because I think if it had been that he fell and hit his head, regardless of the punching, they wouldn't have cared whether people thought that Colin was there at all. Why do they care that Colin was there? Why was it so important? What was the utility of that lie? Guarantee. That's my theory, and I'll die on that damn hill.
Down Fairview Road, what, if anything, did you note or observe as far as the sort of elevation of the roadway?
You go downhill.
You go downhill?
Yes.
In this particular area of Canton, obviously you've lived in Canton for several years.
That's
Are you
my
somewhat
theory.
familiar with this area of
I
Canton?
think Colin
Yeah.
was at the top of the
How is it that
stairs.
you were familiar with the area of Canton prior to this date if you've never been to Miss McCabe's house?
The commuter rail is right near there that I would take to work.
Are there any schools in that area as well?
Yes, the John F. Kennedy School.
And you mentioned that your son played baseball, correct?
Yes, and
Baseball field.
my son and John's nephew also went to the home daycare across the street from the JFK.
So, chat, what's the utility of the lie that Colin was not there? Why? If there was no complicity in Colin in what killed John O'Keefe, Officer John O'Keefe, why did it matter whether Colin was there or not? I understand your theory, and I understand it's quite a common theory, but I feel like there needs to be a reason why that was so important that Colin was not. It didn't appear that Colin was in the house, and so anyway, so yeah, I didn't want him mentioned at all. Yeah, but why? Why? That doesn't make sense unless he was involved. And then also, why was Colin there in the very last bit in the summations? Interesting. Food for thought. But I will also die on that hill. You all can have your opinions, but they're not right. No, I'm joking. You're right. Everyone has a right to their own opinions. We'll never know. But yeah, that's my thoughts. And the reasoning behind my thoughts.
Now, Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask to just publish a brief portion of what's been marked as Exhibit 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that. But I don't think there would have been
What I'm gonna
issues if
ask
he
is
wasn't
if you
involved
could,
at all.
Push
in my
this video
opinion.
forward to 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I think because initially they decided to, again, just my speculation or my own opinion. I think they dragged him out. They thought the snowplow will be coming around, and they knew the time that Lucky would be coming around. It was a scheduled route, and they dragged him out there, knowing that he would die from the cold. It's extraordinary, and his injuries, hence the hostile to dying cold. Extraordinarily cruel to do to anybody, wittingly, knowingly. Consciously, actively, but they I guess they presumed that the scheduling of the snowplow route, and John's injuries in the front of being snowing, that they just assumed, hoped, prayed that he would die, that he would be found in the morning either by Lucky or by someone else. And by Julie Albert bringing the donuts early in the morning. Perhaps she was there to find him. And oh my goodness, John's been hit by a plow in the night. What else could have happened? This is what time Lucky came around. Lucky's the fall guy. End of story. But Julie Albert got there, and Karen had already found Officer John O'Keefe. Oh, it's awful. It's awful.
asking. Ms. Roberts, from what you've seen on the video, as far as what's depicted in this video, is that a fair and accurate portrayal, consistent with what you observed that morning as you were driving around, going from Mr. O'Keefe's house to Ms. McCabe's sister's house?
Yes.
It should be enough, but it's human nature to speculate.
Currently, this
So
vehicle is taking at this
we're
point
allowed to
of the video,
speculate.
minutes and 40 seconds in. Do you recognize what street that vehicle is turning onto?
I believe it's Fairview.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could.
Fact. Fact, Tony.
Now, Ms. Roberts, as you're driving from Mr. O'Keefe's house to this address on Fairview Road that you've never been to before, what's going on inside the car?
Karen was frantic. She wouldn't put her seatbelt on, and I was getting nervous because we're driving in a blizzard. She kept leaning in between the two seats.
She was losing her
at some point
ever-loving
she was texting in the
mind.
back seat, and then she'd be leaning. She was just frantic the whole morning.
No shit.
And as far as her screaming, do you recall anything specifically that she was
Hey,
screaming,
girl.
or what, if any, sort of conversation was going
Good
on?
to see
as
you.
far as you were-
Mwah.
There was some conversation about a woman I didn't know that was Bella's mom, and she said Bella's mom never liked me. I think Bella lived near Jen's sister, maybe. I don't know. Some conversation about Bella's mom, and Karen said she didn't like me.
And
100%, Colleen. 100%.
When that topic of conversation came up.
No, I don't recall.
Now, in reference to following that, what, if anything, did you say in regards to any other sort of
Any other what?
following that conversation in regard to Bella's mom, who you didn't know, what, if anything, did you
Yay.
say or introduce into the conversation?
Yay. Have fun.
Fairview Road
Mwah.
runs along
Say hi to Deb
Spring Road,
first.
Spring Street, I think it is. Spring Lane. So Spring Lane and Fairview are both off at Chapman Street, and there was a woman he dated that lived on Spring Lane. So when Jen was telling me where her sister's house was, I said, I don't know where Fairview is. And she said, it's near Spring Lane. And I said, oh, where the dance instructor lived. John had once dated a dance instructor. And then Karen said, do you think he could have gone there? Do you think that's where he could have been? No, I was
Ever-loving
just
mind.
using it
It's
as a reference point. She said it's near
hard
Spring Lane. And I knew that the dance instructor lived on Spring Lane.
And just to be clear, when you say the dance instructor, this would be for his niece, Kaylee?
Correct.
And you indicated that the two of them, being Mr. O'Keefe and the dance instructor, had dated at some point in the past, correct?
Yes.
How long ago was that?
Oh, it was when Kaylee was little. She was probably like 5.
So almost 10 years before this date that you're driving away. Now, as you're driving along and driving down Fairview, what is it that you're doing? What, if anything, do you observe Mr. Cave doing?
What,
And
if anything?
do you observe the defendant?
Well, we were looking for John walking or
I
wherever
can't
he
with
may
it,
be.
Colleen. I
So I'm
can't.
driving and looking on both sides, and I think Jen was looking on both sides, and Karen was. She would be in the back seat, then she'd be in between us, then she'd be in the back seat, and then in between us.
And as you came down the hill on Fairview, what, if anything, what happened then?
Jen said, "My sister's house is right up here," and all of a sudden, Karen said, "There he is, there he is. Let me the F out of this car," and she started kicking the door
And how was she kicking the door?
with her feet. Well, how was she kicking the door?
How hard was she kicking?
Pretty hard. I mean, she wanted to get out of the car, but it was locked because once you start driving, the back doors lock. So I looked over and I didn't see anything. And I looked at Jen and I said, she's crazy. And I unlocked the door and I sat back and watched. And she ran over to a mound of snow.
And so as the time you're driving down the road, have you seen anything, as you're driving down, sort of looking at the side of the road, have you seen anything on your side of the vehicle?
No,
And when you say she gets out of the vehicle, is it your side or passenger side where Mr. Cave is? That
the driver's side.
so she gets out of the driver's side of the vehicle and the back passenger, correct?
Correct.
And how quickly does she go sort of from your car to where she ends up?
She ran over to the mound.
And at that point in time, even when she runs over, could you see what she was running over?
Thank you.
At some point, I
Mwah.
realized it was the shape of a body.
And when was that you realized? When in this sort of sequence were you able to realize that?
That was in seconds. When she ran over to his body, I said, "Oh my God." And she lifted up his shirt and started to lay on him.
And when you stopped to let her out, where were you in relation to that mound of snow or what you learned?
I think my car was like in the middle of the road. I just stopped.
And in relation to where the mountain of snow was, had you driven past it at that point? So where was it?
Yes.
So it was located behind your vehicle?
Yeah.
Ms. Gilman, if you could, I would ask just plan on that for about 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. What's depicted in the screen in front of this camera angle? Do you recognize what that is?
That's my car.
Is that essentially where you parked your car when Ms. Reed started kicking the doors and got out and ran over?
Yes.
Could you just press play for a moment? Now, from this video, you see where in relation to your vehicle, Mr. O'Keefe, where you found this road.
With the pointer.
Okay.
Okay, Shari, that's a really interesting observation. Let's think about Kerry's look, her demeanor, from what her husband said, she seems to be, and before you came in, Shari, we kind of worked out that she's kind of matronly. Yeah, she's pretty dour. She's pretty she's not one of those mean girls in terms of her look. Like, think about Jill Daniels, Jennifer McCabe, yada yada yada. I wonder whether Kerry was always the sort of frumpy, matronly one, and Jen, perhaps, let's speculate here, perhaps Jen made her feel included in the group because she didn't go to the waterfall that night. She went bowling with Kerry Roberts. She's suddenly in the loop, in the gang, in the cool gang, in the McAlbert clan. Maybe she wanted desperately to believe that Kerry, that they wanted and needed her, and that trumped everything else. And even any off feelings she surely must have had, and her care for John, Officer John O'Keefe, her friend of a decade or so, or a bit less. Or anyway, a long-term friend. Interesting. Interesting, Shari. You always have good insights. Love your work. Food for thought. This is why we're doing this.
If you could, again, just play for about 6 minutes.
Oof. Oof. This is awful. I hate this footage. Exactly, Shari. But suddenly she's in the game. Oh, Kerry. Very good, Shari. Okay, so I guess trigger warning. I know we've seen this before and heard this before, but I'm getting a visceral response to this video, exactly like, exactly how I did the first time. I don't know how anybody in the world who isn't a narcissist and a psychopath cannot, did not, does not feel Karen's raw terror and franticness. So this is awful. I kind of hadn't remembered that this was in Kerry's testimony. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, if I start crying, sorry. I'm a crier on stream now, apparently. It's just me. I'm just a heavy empath.
about the individuals on the screen again? I should just use the way the pointer direct your attention to those are.
That is Jen McCabe. That's Karen Reed. That's me.
Just trying to play again.
Thanks, Dill.
Take that down.
Not Bev. Bev's
In
unmoved.
relation to what you just
Fucking
saw in the
bitch.
video, as far as at some point, the rear sort of tailgate or hatchback on your SUV, that was in the up position, is that correct?
Yes,
And do you recall why that was?
because I was having Jen get the baby blankets to wrap around.
I think Kerry was probably crying because of the trauma. Very triggering. We're being taken right back to that moment. Those windscreen wipers were so eerie. Ooh, heavy, 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 heavy.
Around him out of my car.
And is that something that you just sort of have in the back of your car at all times?
Yeah.
Now, at any point in time in that sequence, did you call anybody or have any sort of phone calls that you made that went to voicemail at that time?
Did I?
Yes.
I don't know.
And so nothing that you recall, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you observe Ms. McKay make any phone calls that just sort of went to voicemail and she left her phone in your car?
Oh, Pepper. Hi, Pepper. Good to see you.
Let me take you back sort of when you're pulling. So as far as the conditions when you pull up and the defendant's banging on the door and gets out and runs over to Mr. O'Keefe, what's depicted in that video, obviously without your vehicle being in the middle of the roadway, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what the road looked like and sort of what you saw upon your arrival?
Yes.
So after the defendant gets out of the vehicle, what did you do? Where did you go?
When I realized it was him or someone, I ran over and I dug his head out of the snow.
And to recall, you recognized the person in the snow as Mr. O'Keefe.
Once I dug his head out, yes.
Oh.
And you recall how his body was positioned as far as how was he on his stomach, on his back, on his side?
He was on his back,
And so you brushed some snow away from his head, is that correct?
off his face.
And when you were brushing the snow off his face, what, if anything, did you observe about his face or the condition of him?
He had blood coming out of his nose and his mouth. And his right eye it looked like a golf ball. His left eye was fine. But the right eye looked like a golf
Trigger
ball.
warning, trigger warning. Didn't get to it fast
Now,
enough.
you mentioned that you wiped some snow from around his head.
All right,
What,
guys.
if anything else, did you observe on the rest of his body?
He was bleeding in the back of the head. So when I was wrapping I don't know why I was wrapping blankets around his head, but I didn't know. He had a cut on the back
Thanks,
of his head.
Ashley. Bye.
Do you recall which side of his head that cut was on?
I don't. It just was blood on the blanket that was under his head.
I'm going to rewind a little bit because I wasn't paying proper attention. LC, thank you for becoming a member. Welcome, welcome. Camp Shorty, all day, every day. Well, not really, but feels like it. Cool member emojis in the chat bar. And yes, let me just wind it back a little bit. I want to give the respect because for whatever reason, Kerry is very upset. And I think we should respect her distress by not skipping too far forward through it. Yikes. Yikes.
Roberts, in relation to what you just saw in the video, as far as at some point the rear sort of tailgate or hatchback on your SUV, that was in the up position, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you recall why that was?
Because I was having Jen get the baby blankets to wrap around him out of my car.
And is that something that you just sort of have in the back of your car at all times?
Yeah.
Now, at any point in time in that sequence, did you call anybody or have any sort of phone calls that you made that went to voicemail at that time?
Did I?
Yes.
I don't know.
And so nothing that you recall, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you observe Ms. McCabe make any phone calls that just sort of went to voicemail and she left her phone in your car?
Protection. Sustained.
Let me take you back to when you're pulling up. So as far as the conditions when you pull up and the defendant's banging on the door and gets out and runs over to Mr. O'Keefe, what's depicted in that?
Kind of jarring, hey, Shari, when she says baby blankets. I remember at the time it jarred me, and just again now, it's a jarring thing. It's kind of like it's incongruous.
That video, obviously, without your vehicle being in the middle of the roadway, is that?
And also, if her children are 14 and 12 now, they would have been, when was this? I should know, 2020. Brain not working. But she's had very much grown children, well out of baby blankets. Why did she still have baby blankets in the car? That's weird too. Did she have blankets in the car because she might have known that she needed something and grabbed something that was no longer useful in her home? Interesting.
Fair and accurate portrayal of what the road looked like and sort of what you saw upon your arrival.
Yes.
So after the defendant gets out of the vehicle, what did you do? Where did you go?
When I realized it was him,
I think so too, Turd.
or someone, I ran over and I dug his head out of the snow.
And to recall,
Agreed,
recognize,
Colleen.
the person in the snow was Mr. O'Keefe.
Once I dug his head out, yes.
And you recall how his body was positioned as far as
Yay, Amy, yay.
was he on the stomach, on the back, on the side?
Amy
He was on
time.
his back,
And so you brushed some snow away from his head, is that correct?
off his face.
And when you were brushing the snow off his face, what, if anything, did you observe about his face or the condition of him?
He had blood coming out of his nose and his mouth. And his right eye it looked like a golf ball. His left eye was fine. But the right eye looked like a golf ball.
Now, you mentioned that you wiped some snow from around his head. What, if anything else, did you observe on the rest of his body?
He was bleeding in the back of the head. So when I was wrapping I don't know why I was wrapping blankets around his head, but I didn't know. He had a cut on the back of his head.
Do you recall which side of his head that cut was on?
I don't. It just was blood on the blanket that was under his head.
Now, as far as the rest of his body, did that have snow on it as well?
Say it again, I'm sorry?
The rest of his body, separate from his head area. What, if any, snow did you observe on the rest of his body?
He was completely covered.
Jakarta girl, hey girl.
How much snow was covering the rest of his body?
Good to see you.
I would say like 4 inches, maybe 3.
Thank you, Amber.
I don't really remember exactly how
Appreciate
many,
that.
but he was covered.
And so with reference to Mr. O'Keefe, and when you arrived there, 3 of you being you, the defendant, and Ms. McCabe, what is it that you were doing when you first sort of come over to Mr. O'Keefe?
Well, Karen was laying on top of him, and I told her to get off him because I was going to do CPR. And I said, Jen, you need to call 911. And I started CPR on his chest compressions, and then Karen was giving him mouth to mouth.
And as far as CPR goes, is that something that you had any training in prior to this?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury a little bit about that as far as what, if any, training did you have as far as CPR was?
I get CPR certified every 2 years through the American Red Cross at work.
So you start doing chest compressions, is that right?
Correct.
And you direct Ms. McCabe to call 911?
Yes.
And what was the defendant doing at that?
She was doing mouth to mouth, and she was frantic again, running around. And
as she was running around, what, if anything else, was she doing or saying while she was running around?
Did I hit him? Did I hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead?
Is that something that she said once or more than once?
More than once.
And similar to sort of the tonality or the volume of the voice that you were describing before, was that consistent when you're there sort of in front of the house?
Yes.
Now, in relation to where you were with Mr. O'Keefe, obviously you've never been in this house before, is that right?
Correct.
What, if anything, did you observe as far as headlights or street lights or anything like that around that area where you found Mr. O'Keefe?
There was a fire hydrant, and there was some weird like electrical
Be
box
safe, Ducati girl.
sticking out of the ground.
But you don't recall any sort of like overhead lights or anything like that?
I don't recall.
Now, this process of you sort of doing compressions and Ms. Reed is doing mouth-to-mouth and then running around, is the mouth-to-mouth that she's doing, is that sort of consistent or is it intermittent between, when is the running around in relation to the mouth-to-mouth?
I don't remember which was first. I was just
Shari is amazing.
concentrating on doing chest compressions.
And so while you're doing the chest compressions, at some point do first responders start to arrive?
Correct.
And about how long was it from the time that you sort of get out of the vehicle, go over, realize it's Mr. O'Keefe, et cetera, and to when the first responders arrived?
I don't know. Wasn't long, maybe under 10 minutes.
During that time, or during any amount of time that you were there, did you see anybody from any of the houses on the street come out of the house, or any neighbors come out or anything like that?
No.
Once, if you recall, do you recall whether it was police or fire or ambulance or who showed up first?
I don't know. I think the police showed up first, or the EMTs. I just know the EMTs came over and said, we'll take it from here. I wasn't paying attention to what else was going on.
So you're sort of focused on chest compressions, and at some point, some paramedic comes over and tells you they've got this.
Yes.
And so after that, where did you go?
After that, where did I go? I stayed in the area. I think I went back over to the car.
And as paramedics are working on John, you're over by your vehicle, correct?
I think so.
And so where was,
Deal.
what were you doing, and where was Ms. McCabe, and where was the defendant at that?
Karen was running around the body while the EMTs were trying to work on him. She was just frantic.
Yes.
So you're over by the car, and Ms. Reed is running around over where Mr. O'Keefe is.
Yes.
Where was Ms. McCabe?
I don't know. She was somewhere around the car.
So closer to you than to where Mr. O'Keefe was?
I don't know.
Now, where Mr. O'Keefe was, if you know, where was he in relation to the roadway or the paved sort of pathway of Fairview Road?
I don't know, because you couldn't tell which was the road and which was the grass. Like, you couldn't tell where the road began and ended. So I don't know.
Now, you described the defendant sort of running around Mr. O'Keefe frantically. What, if anything, was she saying at that point?
Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?
And that sort of phraseology, or the way she put that,
She does,
was
too.
that consistent throughout? Is that how she stated it?
Yes.
And again, in that same sort of loud volume voice at the time.
Yes.
Now, at some point, Mr. O'Keefe is taken from where he is by the paramedics to an ambulance, correct?
Yes.
And as he's being taken off the ground, what, if anything, did you observe in that area?
His phone was under him, and it was grass.
Now, as far as the graphs that you observed, how is that in relation to sort of the rest of the area where Mr. O'Keefe was?
Everything else had snow.
Everything else is covered in snow, and when he's lifted off the ground underneath his body, is that where the grass is?
Yes.
And
I missed that bit. Sorry, I just want to go back.
during that time, or during any amount of time that you were there, did you see anybody from any of the houses on the street come out of the house, or any neighbors come out or anything like that?
No.
Once, if you recall, do you recall whether it was police or fire or ambulance or who showed up first?
I don't know. I think the police showed up first, or the EMTs. I just know the EMTs came over and said, we'll take it from here. I wasn't paying attention to what else was going on.
So you're sort of focused on chest compressions, and at some point, some paramedic comes over and tells you they've got this.
Yes.
And so after that, where did you go?
After that, where did I go? I stayed in the area. I think I went back over to the car.
And as paramedics are working on John, you're over by your vehicle, correct?
I think so.
And so where was, what were you doing, and where was Ms. McCabe, and where was the defendant at that point?
Karen was running around the body while the EMTs were trying to work
The
on him.
body? The
She was
body.
just frantic.
The body.
And so you're over by
The
the car.
body.
Ms. Reed is running around over where Mr. O'Keefe is.
Yes.
Where was Ms. McCabe?
I don't know. She was somewhere around the car.
So closer to you than to where Mr. O'Keefe was?
I don't know.
Now, where Mr. O'Keefe was, if you know, where was
The
he
body.
in relation to the roadway or the paved sort of pathway?
I'm sorry.
I don't know, because you couldn't tell.
The body. Do you think that's distancing language? She doesn't want to think about it, the body as being her little brother. John? Who says the body? Wild.
Which was the road and which was the grass. Like, you couldn't tell where the road began and ended. So I don't know.
Now, you described the defendant sort of running around Mr. O'Keefe frantically. What, if anything, was she saying at that point?
Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?
And that sort of phraseology, or the way she put that, was that consistent throughout? Is that how she stated it?
Yes.
And again, in that same sort of loud volume voice at the time?
Yes.
Now, at some point, Mr. O'Keefe is taken from where he is by the paramedics to an ambulance, correct?
Yes.
And as he's being taken off the ground, what, if anything, did you observe in that area?
His phone was under him, and it was grass.
Now, as far as the grass that you observed, how is that in relation to sort of the rest of the area where Mr. O'Keefe was?
Everything else had snow.
So everything else is covered in snow, and when he's lifted off the ground underneath his body, is that where the grass is?
Yes.
And his phone was where in relation to his body? As far as when he's lifted up, what part of his body had been open?
Like maybe his shoulder, maybe it was like his back. So when they lifted him up, it was under where like his, whatever the right side of his back.
What I'm asking is basically sort of up towards the shoulder blade or down towards the
Wait.
lower back. If you,
Okay, wait.
In the middle.
Wait. Obviously, we've gone over this before, but I'm just being reminded. Dirty paws, you deserve it, bitch. So she's talking about finding John's phone, yeah? Exactly, Shari. Wait, what? Yeah, that's what we're saying, Adam. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. We're trying to work this out. What? Why? These parts here, Shari's right. This stuff here is now narrative. I think from the body, we can tell that. Yeah. Can you rewind, please? Yes, Shari. To where? But she's talking about finding the phone. I'll rewind in a second. I'll finish my thought. So wait, my brain's trying to make some connections here. So for starters, it's the first responders lifting up Officer John O'Keefe, yes? And she sees his phone, which she's saying now, here, under this part, whatever you call that. Obviously, Jen didn't tell her what to say there. So what first responders in that, regardless of these idiots, these imbeciles, not the paramedics necessarily, but okay, not the first responders. Yes, I'm going to lump them all in the same because they're all idiots, except for Barrows. In this situation, what if any first responder is going to go, oh, this could be probably is suspicious in some way, shape, or form. Let a bystander, I was about to say an innocent bystander, but that's yet to be determined. Let the bystander grab that phone and pop it in a pocket. I'm sorry, Kerry, that didn't happen. Did we ever hear from any of those people that that's what happened? No, because Kerry Roberts' testimony came after all those first responders, if you recall. This is day 16 of trial. Okay, I'll rewind it, Kerry. I'm Kerry. Oh, sorry. I don't want to get out of that dirty pause. I like it. Yeah. Let me see. Is this far enough, Shari?
His phone was where in relation to his body, as far as when he's lifted up?
Wait, a bit further.
Like his.
A little bit further.
They wouldn't be working on him if he was dead.
Ah!
No.
Oh my God, I can't do it. Lord have mercy. I'm losing my ever-loving mind.
What's going on?
You're sort of focused on the chest compressions, and at some point, some paramedic comes over and tells you they've got this.
Yes.
And so after that, where did you?
After that, where did I go? I stayed in the area. I think I went back over to the car.
And as paramedics are working on John, you're over by your vehicle, correct?
I think so.
And so where was, what were you doing, and where was Mr. Cave, and where was the defendant at that?
I think it was stipulated, it was in pre-trial motions, that the defense believed that referring to him as Officer John O'Keefe would be prejudicial in favour of Karen Reid. It would just John O'Keefe. It was something that was decided in pre-trial motions.
Karen was running around the body while the EMTs were trying to work on him. She was just frantic.
And so you're over by the car, and Ms. Reid is running around over where Mr. O'Keefe is?
Yes.
Where was Mr. Cave?
I don't know. She was somewhere around the car.
Is he? I don't think Kurt Roberts is a cop.
I don't know.
Now, where Mr. O'Keefe was, if you know.
Furrows.
Where was he in relation to the roadway or
Furrows?
The paved sort of pathway of Fairview Road?
I don't know, because you couldn't tell which was the road and which was the grass. Like, you couldn't tell where the road began and ended. So I don't know.
Now, you described the defendant sort of running around Mr. O'Keefe frantically. What, if anything, was she saying at that point?
Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?
And that sort of phraseology or the way she put that, was that consistent throughout? Is that how she stated it?
Yes.
And again, in that same sort of loud volume voice at the time?
Yes.
Now, at some point, Mr. O'Keefe is taken from where he is by the paramedics to an ambulance, correct?
Yes.
And as he's being taken off the ground, what, if anything, did you observe in that area?
What if anything?
His phone was under him, and it was grass.
Now, as far as the grass that you observed, how is that in relation to sort of the rest of the area where Mr. O'Keefe was?
Everything else had snow.
So everything else is covered in snow, and when he's lifted off the ground underneath his body, is that where the grass is?
Yes.
And his phone was where in relation to his body? As far as when he's lifted up, what part of his body had been open?
Like maybe his shoulder, maybe it was like his back. So when they lifted him up, it was under where like his, whatever the right side of his back.
And what I'm asking is basically sort of up towards the shoulder blade or down towards his lower back, if you.
In the middle.
And when you saw the phone on the grass, what, if anything, did you do with Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
I picked it up. I put it in my pocket. And at some point, one of the first responders asked if I had it. I handed it over.
Do you recall who that first responder was?
No.
Do you recall even whether it was a police officer, or a firefighter, or a paramedic?
No.
Now, as Mr. O'Keefe is being taken from where he was located and found him to the ambulance, what happens then? What goes on from that?
At some point, Officer Good told Karen to calm down because she was frantic. And at some point, Jen and Karen were in the back of a police cruiser to warm up. I was standing outside watching the ambulance because I could see in through the ambulance that they were moving things and working on them.
And so what, if any, conversation did you have with the defendant or Mr. McCabe in reference to what you were seeing to the back of the ambulance?
I said, they're working on
You're
him.
never
They're working on him.
fired
At
at
one
him.
point,
Never,
Karen
ever.
grabbed the front of my jacket
You're
and screamed
perfect.
in my face and said, are they working on him? Is he alive? And I said, they're working on him. They're working on him. They wouldn't be working on him if he was dead. And then she had us hold hands and pray. And then at some point, she had blood on her hands, and she told us she had her period. So I think she was just in a state of shock, maybe.
Okay, chat. Wait.
Uh,
Because Karen never testified, and I don't think she should ever. Hard no from me, from my many years of practicing law. Who one's in the chat if you think Karen actually made that period comment, that she was on her period, and why did she have blood on her face and on her hands? One's in the chat. I don't think so. Oh, wow, that's really like Brenda. Yes, it might help. You'd think it would help, but me, not so much. I'm not a tech wizard, and that looks tech wizardy. That looks like a lot of letters, and I'm going, yep. But Adam's going to make me a cheat sheet. So one's in the chat. What do you think? One's in the chat. Did Karen actually say that? Did Karen just say that? No, as if. I'm just waiting for ones in the chat. There's no ones. No one's putting a one. So we don't think. No, as if. Thank you. It's ludicrous. That's part of fucking Jennifer McCabe's narrative. And we won't know, because why would you even dignify that with a response if you were Karen Reid or her defense team? Bullshit. I call fucking bullshit.
We said, no, that's not your blood. That's John's.
No.
And,
Wait.
what happened then?
That big sigh she just did, that's her. Okay, I got that part of the story out. Next. Don't you reckon, chat?
Then the ambulance drove away.
And if you know about how long was it from the time that you were told by the paramedic to step away from Mr. O'Keefe, they had this, from that point to when the ambulance drove away?
I don't know. I don't think it was long. I watched them work on whatever they were doing in the back of the ambulance, and they got in the ambulance and drove away.
And after the ambulance left, where did the three of you go, or where did you go? Where did Miss Reed go? Where did Miss
Karen, I had her in my car. Jen was going up to the door to her sister's house, and I said to the police, I had been on the phone now. I had called Mrs. O'Keefe. I had called John's mother. I had called John's father. At some point, Karen was on the phone with John's sister-in-law, Erin, telling him John's dead. So I grabbed the phone from her. I said, he's not dead. He's in the back of an ambulance. He's been in an accident. And she said that Paul was going to go, John's brother, to the hospital that they were bringing John to. So I spoke to I called Mr. O'Keefe. He didn't answer.
Next question. That'll stand. But next question.
You call Mr. O'Keefe and Mrs. O'Keefe John's parents.
Correct.
At some point, you have a conversation with them, correct?
Correct.
And do you know why it was that Ms. McCabe was going into the house on Fairview?
Do you know why?
Do you know why?
To wake her sister, I think.
And
Bev just put in an appearance. My all-time favorite line of Bev's was when Higgy was when Alan Jackson was cross-examining Brian Higgins, and he was trying to get Higgy to admit that Karen ignored him. She ignored him at the waterfall that night, and then he's going, she ignored you, and he's going, an objection. Did you need to object, Lily? And then and he says objection, and Bev goes, did she ignore you? Gold, Bev Gold.
after those conversations, so you grab the phone from the defendant, you speak to Erin O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
And following those conversations with members of the O'Keefe family, where is it that you were going from there?
I asked Mrs. O'Keefe if she had four-wheel drive, and she said no. And Mr. O'Keefe had a van that didn't have four-wheel drive. So I said, I'm going to come get you, and I'll take you to the hospital.
All right, so why don't we end this now for lunch? Okay. All right, first we'll take a luncheon.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yep.
What? Wait. I was talking. Jury out? We out. Wait, I want to see it. Fuck off, Paul O'Keefe, you piece of shit. I want to see what Bev says.
Whatever that.
Oh, my God.
The right.
Lord have mercy. Sorry, guys. Sorry, chat.
John's
No!
dead. So I grabbed the phone from her. I said, he's not dead. He's in the back of an ambulance. He's been in an.
After those conversations, so you grab the phone from the defendant, you speak.
Oh, my God. Oh. Okay.
Yep.
Ah! Jury out. We out. I can't. Okay.
After those conversations, so you grab the phone from the defendant, you speak to Erin O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
And following those conversations with members of the O'Keefe family, where is it that you were going from there?
I asked Mrs. O'Keefe if she had four-wheel drive, and she said no. And Mr. O'Keefe had a van that didn't have four-wheel drive. So I said, I'm going to come get you, and I'll take you to the hospital.
All right, so why don't we end this now for lunch? Okay. All right, first we'll take a luncheon. Ms. Roberts, when the jury's out, if you could just.
Yep.
What did she say? Did anyone catch what she said? What did she say? Bev did do that time and time again. What did she say? Did anyone catch it? Something whispery, Bevy. Great moment. Yeah. They're all lizard people doing lizard people things. Stillhole, yes. Yes. Ghosted him. Yes. Did she ignore you? Bev, piece of shit. Because Bev is disgusting, and Bev likes to stick to her schedule. Remember, she would just call it at the end of every day. Boom. Never any flexibility on the schedule. Bev, all right, I'll skip through the lunch break stuff. Said the jurors go out first, and then you. Thank you, Jane. Thank you. Is it normal for a judge to handhold a witness like that? No, Adam, it's not. It's not at all. Nor to handhold the prosecutor, actually. And she spoon-fed Lunchbox Lally, right? Let me just get through here. Where's lunch? Oh, get ready for the fans. Bit exciting. Fucking Paul O'Keefe. Wait. I love you, Karen. And Liza. Liza Little looks very much like my late sister-in-law, my late husband's sister. Very similar. Craig's like, get me away from this tiny table. All right. The fan. Goodbye. You are unmuted. Goodbye. Okay. And this is as technological as I get, yeah? I'll swipe for it. How long does lunch go? Oh my God. Oh. Sniff, sniff. Sorry about the sniffing. That's what I do. It's what I do. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Jane. Jurors. You guys say jurors and horror. There's a few words that we love. I love. Bye. Gotta get some claws, y'all. Gary, I think Jane said the jurors go out first and then you.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're
Hey,
ready.
Dill. He drinks hipster stuff out of mason jars, yeah?
Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon.
So if I could take you back just for a moment, I apologize for this, but just for a moment back to when you first, where Mr. O'Keefe is
Yes,
on
Shari.
the ground. And at any point in time when you observed him, what, if any, observations did you make as far as how Mr. O'Keefe was dressed at that time?
Was he dressed?
Yes.
He had jeans on. I couldn't really tell because he was covered in snow, but I know that I think he had 2 layers on because when the defendant lifted his shirt.
The defendant.
Do you recall if any one of those layers was like a winter jacket or any kind of heavy coat or anything like that?
No.
I'm sorry, no, you don't recall, or no?
No, it was not a coat.
Now,
Thanks, Dill. See you next
take
time.
you back to when
Oh, wait, I slowed it
you were
down
in front
again.
of the house and Mr. O'Keefe is in the back of the ambulance, and at some point in time that ambulance leaves. Is that correct?
Correct.
And do you know where the ambulance was going?
Good Samaritan Hospital.
And following that, you mentioned that Ms. McCabe went inside the house, correct?
Yes.
And do you recall what it was that caused her to go inside the house?
No, I'll allow that. Not what anyone said.
I think she was going to wake her sister.
And after, was there anybody else that beyond sort of first responders or police officers, things like that, any other sort of civilian people show up that you recall?
Matt showed up at some point. Jen's husband, Matt.
And that was before you left, is that correct?
Yes.
And just to be clear, you had, we'll get to this more in a moment, but you had left from the house once, come back, and then left again?
Yes.
And when her husband, Matt McCabe, showed up, which of those times was that, if you recall?
I think he was there when I left the first time.
And did you have any conversation with him?
I just said, he said, I said, I'm going to get the O'Keefes. He said, do you want me to come with you? And I said, no. So he went in the house.
And when you left, who, if anyone, initially when you left, who, if anyone, left with you?
I left with Karen Reed.
And as you're leaving in your car, you're driving, is that correct?
Yes.
Where's Miss Reed at that point?
Say it again.
Where was Miss Reed in your car at that point?
In the passenger seat.
And as you were leaving, what, if anything, were the two of you doing or talking about, or what was going on when you left that first?
As we were leaving, she was saying to me, if anything happens to John, I'm going to kill myself. You need to take care of these kids.
And how did you respond?
He's not going to die. No one's doing anything of that nature, or something of that nature, I said.
And as far as you're driving away, Chapman, and you're facing towards Cedar Crest, is that right?
We say jurors.
Yes.
Jurors.
So when you left, are you following in that sort of same direction towards Cedar Crest?
I took a right onto Cedar Crest.
I think.
And then where did you go from there?
And then I got to Dedham Street, and I went to take a right. And then Officer Good let me go to pick up the O'Keefes to take them. I had to give him my phone number so that he could get in touch with me if he needed to. So he did call, and he said, do you have Miss Reed with you? And I said, yes. And he said, please bring her back. Her parents have called in a suicide. They said she's saying she's suicidal, so they want her to be sectioned.
And so coming back to that in a moment, but before you had left the scene, you hadn't talked to any police officers or anything at that time, correct?
No, other than my name and phone number, but no.
So you gave them your information and then said, I have to go pick up the O'Keefes.
Yes.
So you get that call from Officer Good, and then you come back to the house, is that right?
Yes.
And during any of that time, you recall the defendants, I know you had mentioned she spoke to Erin O'Keefe. Was there anybody else that the defendant spoke to or talked to while you were with her in the car?
She spoke to her mother. And then I ended up taking the phone and speaking to her mother, and I gave her my
Thank
phone
you,
number. I said, I'm
Sherry.
going to go to the hospital.
Wrestler's
She said,
mom.
please make sure she
Alerta.
does not have
Welcome, Wrestler's
her
mom.
purse. She has medication in her purse. I don't want her to take.
And then when you arrived
Thanks,
back at
Gary.
the scene, what happened then?
She just got out of the car and walked to the ambulance.
And who, if anyone, did she walk in? By she, you mean the defendant?
I'm sorry, yes.
And who, if anyone, did the defendant walk from your car to the ambulance with?
She just walked. I think she just walked by herself. I had her phone because I had been talking to her mother. So then one of the first responders came over and said, do you have her phone? And I said, yes. Her mother said, make sure she does not have her purse.
And then following that conversation with one of the first responders, where did you go from there?
I went to go pick up the O'Keefes.
And as far as your drive from Canton,
Thanks,
where
Shari.
did you
Thumbs
leave?
up.
Braintree.
Please hit the like.
So your drive from Canton to Braintree, and then subsequently from Braintree to Brockton. What, if anything, did you observe about sort of the driving conditions at that point?
I was actually on the phone with Katie Camerano, and I spun out, did a complete spun a couple times on 93, right near the Braintree exit, so that when I got to the O'Keefes, that we went back roads to Brockton because I didn't want to go on the highway.
And as far as the O'Keefes, as far as in your car from Braintree to Brockton, that was both John's mother and father?
Correct.
And at some point you get to the Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, correct?
Correct.
And do you know about what time it was that you got there?
I don't know.
When you
Ah, it's
arrived,
awesome
where is
too.
it that you and the O'Keefes sort of go within the hospital?
John's brother Paul had already arrived, and then we all walked in. We were in the waiting area. John's cousin actually works on the switchboard. We had been talking to her on the way in because with COVID restrictions, we didn't know if we were going to be able to get in or. So she had come out from the switchboard, her office, because she knew there had been an accident. So she came out to greet her family, and then I asked her to take me to the bathroom to clean up and to the chapel.
And why was it that you had to go clean up?
Say it again.
Why was it that you had to go clean up?
Because I had blood on my hands.
Now, Ms. Roberts, you mentioned that during part of the drive from Canton to Braintree, you spoke to Ms. Camerano, correct?
Yes.
And during either that drive or the subsequent drive from Braintree to Brockton, who, if anyone else, did you speak to over the phone?
And Karen called me repeatedly from the ambulance asking if I was going to come to the hospital. Then she called when the O'Keefes were in the car and said she dropped him off at a party. And Mrs. O'Keefe said, you just left him. And Mr. O'Keefe said, leave her alone. She's been through enough. She called a few times while we were on the ride. And then she called a lot when we were at the hospital asking if I knew anything, if he was dead, is he dead? She would hang up and then call back, hang up and then call back.
And if you know about how many times was it?
At least 10.
And that same sort of phraseology that she was using on scene as far as it's dead, she repeated that in the phone call with the hospital.
Yes.
Now, once you arrive at the hospital and you're able to clean up a little bit, where did you go from there? What happened there?
I went to the chapel and I said a prayer. And then I went in and talked to John's cousin, and she said that Dr. Rice was going to ask to meet with the family and that they would be told how John was doing and that they would bring John's family back to see John. So when I came out, they were being called in by Dr. Rice, and I sat in the waiting area.
And after some period of time sitting in the waiting area, what happened then?
Mrs. O'Keefe came out and told me John was gone. And then she asked if I wanted to see him. So I did, because I figured it would be better than when I last saw him. Maybe he was cleaned up, but it was not. It was worse.
Sorry, ma'am, but as far as say that it was worse, back into a room where John was, is that right?
Absolutely.
He was in a neck brace, and both eyes were huge. Whereas when I found him, it was only one, but they were like black, almost like filled with, I don't know, blood or fluid. They were huge.
Trigger warning.
Beyond what you observed in his eyes, what, if anything else, did you see on John's body as you were?
He had scratches on his arm,
Do you recall which arm it was?
his right arm.
Recall where on
Scratches.
his arm?
Like here.
Scratches. Like this.
That's the record, like the witness is pointing to her.
Oh, he finally reflects on the record. Thanks, Lally. Amazing.
Following that, as far as going in to see John, what happened then?
We came back out to the waiting area. Mrs. O'Keefe wanted to get his necklace off, but I couldn't get it. So her and Paul went back in to get the necklace off. And Karen had called me at some point from the hospital and said, my father's going to be coming. Can you just keep a lookout for him? So I said, so when Mr. Reed, her father, walked in, Mr. O'Keefe recognized him and he said, that's Karen's father. So I went over and I said, Mr. Reed, Mr. O'Keefe would like to speak to you. And then I just stood there. I didn't know what to do.
And at some point, did you leave from the hospital?
I did. I took Mr. O'Keefe in my car and Paul took Mrs. O'Keefe in his.
And where did the two vehicles, where did you
I dropped Mr. O'Keefe off at John's house and then I went home.
And without getting into too much detail as far as the road conditions that you described earlier, how were they?
It was absolutely
so
horrible.
mad.
I told
Makes me
Mr.
so
O'Keefe, if you
mad,
see
Anna.
a front door in your vision, we are about to hit a house because I can't see where we're going. And my windshield wiper broke.
Now, you dropped Mr. O'Keefe off at John's house on Meadows, is that right?
Yes,
And Ms. Reed's vehicle, was that still there at that point?
I think so. I don't recall, but I think so.
And then you went home, is that correct?
Yes.
Later on that day or that afternoon, if anyone came to your house to speak to you in regard to what?
There were 2 officers, but I don't remember their names.
And do you recall which department they were from?
The state police.
Mm.
As far as the officers that came to your house and spoke to you, you don't recall their names, is that correct?
I don't.
Okay.
Recall if either one of them was
So-
Trooper Proctor?
It was not.
Do you notice she just tucked her hair behind her ear? I feel that was her. Okay, now we're getting down to business. Focus. Yeah. Body language.
And where in your house did you speak to them?
In the dining room.
And did they speak to anybody else at your house at that time?
My husband.
And as far as when they spoke to you and they spoke to your husband, where were you? Starting with yourself, do you know where your husband was when the troopers were speaking to you?
I don't know where he was, but he wasn't in the room with me.
Same
I'm
as
sure he was
far
in
as when
trouble.
the troopers were speaking with your husband, where were you?
I was not in the room.
Following that, did you have occasion to speak to any other troopers or members of the state police at any point in time afterward?
I've only spoken to Michael Proctor one time. It was from Jen's house.
And when was that, if you know?
I don't know, maybe a couple of days later, because Jen and I were re-going over what everything had happened. Mrs. O'Keefe had advised us to make a timeline because she said this could be a while. You guys aren't going to remember something years from now. So sit down, write down what you remember. And I, at that point, said,
Okay, wait.
when she first called, she said he was dead. And
So Peggy O'Keefe was furious with Karen for whatever reason, blaming Karen already for leaving John there. But she also had the wherewithal to suggest to Kerry and Jen. Peggy suggested to Kerry and Jen to write a timeline? Or was it Jen who suggested that they write out a timeline? And then,
then Jen said, I don't think you've told them that. So Michael Proctor called, or she was on the phone. I
Michael
don't even know.
Proctor.
And I said, could I speak to him? So I told him so that somebody had it documented.
So as far as Trooper Proctor was concerned, that phone conversation, is that the only contact that you have with Trooper Proctor?
Yes.
And if you recall, was it February 1st or so that you met with some troopers at Mr. Cape's house?
State Trooper who?
At some point, did you meet with troopers at Mr. Cape's house?
Yes.
And if you know, was that on or around a couple days later, like February 1st or so?
I don't, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't be sure.
Were either of those troopers that you met at Mr. Cape's house?
Lip licking. She's blinking. She's got laser focused eyes. Watch her face.
Were either of those troopers Trooper Proctor?
No.
And do you recall where within Mr. Cape's house you spoke to them?
In the living room.
And beyond yourself and the troopers that you spoke to, was there anybody else in the room with you when you spoke to them?
No.
And at some point, either then or subsequent to then, was there any request made by any trooper from the state police in regard to your cell phone?
To my cell phone, yes.
And do you recall if it was that date or a later date?
It was not that day. I think it was the next day. It was within the next 2 days. They wanted to clone my phone.
And did they advise you of anything or give you any form that you had to fill out and execute prior to doing that?
Yes, I had to fill out a form.
And as far as your phone was concerned, were there any restrictions or anything that you gave to them as far as what they could look at or what they could clone or what they could do with your phone?
No.
And as far as how sort of that process works as far as the cell phone tracking or anything. Do you know anything about that?
No.
And do you recall how long it was that you were without your phone at the time you handed it over to them to whenever you got it back?
Well, they took both of our phones at the same time, and we didn't get them back for like 7 or 8 hours.
And just to be clear, when you say both of our phones, you're
Jen-
who else's?
Jen's phone and my phone.
Now, at some point or at any point, did you give any kind of interview or have any conversation with any officer from the Canton Police in regard to what happened that day?
No.
And are
No?
you familiar with a
No?
Canton officer named Michael Lang?
Yes.
How do you know?
My daughter and his daughter are friends.
So beyond your daughters being friends, is that someone that you know or that you socialize with or anything like that?
No, I mean, they've come over to my house, his wife and him, one time, but we don't hang out with him socially. His wife and I are friends.
Now, at some point around this date, around January 29th, let me ask you, turning to the next day of January 30th, do you recall what you did that day?
We went over to the O'Keefe's house, my daughter, Jen, and Jen's daughter, and myself.
And following that,
In the gang now, huh?
My daughter wanted to get dropped off to her friend's house at Mike Lank's.
and so after leaving the O'Keefe's house, is it still the same as far as yourself, your daughter, Ms. McCabe, and her daughter?
Her daughter stayed at the O'Keefe's.
And as far as Ms. McCabe was concerned, was it after dropping your daughter off, did you go anywhere with Ms. McCabe after that?
I just stopped at Mike Lank's house, I think, and then we went home.
Hi, Scott. Good to see you.
And so when you got to your daughter's friend's house, who, if anyone, did you speak with?
Mike's wife came out to the car to see how I was and how the O'Keefe's were, and
Hi, Ruby.
so she talked to us for a while, just asking how everyone was.
And if you know, ma'am, do you know about how long that conversation was?
I mean, I'm a talker, so it's probably a while. I'd say at least 45 minutes.
Ruthie's back.
Was that a
Woo!
conversation like through the window, or did she get in the car? You know,
I think she got in the car. She was in the back seat because it was freezing.
from that conversation, do you recall anything beyond sort of how people were doing or anything? Did you discuss anything about sort of what you had seen or what you had heard the day before on the 29th?
I don't recall. It was just a regular conversation.
Yay!
Well, not
Welcome
regular,
from
obviously,
show,
but she was
from
more concerned how
Total
the O'Keefe's were
Riders.
doing, how the kids were
Welcome.
doing.
And then after you left from the Lang's house, where did you go? Where did you and Miss McKay go?
I don't know. I'm assuming home.
Can I have a moment, Karen?
Yes.
Absolutely, Nicole. Absolutely. Ew. Ew, Jess.
Yeah, may we approach this briefly?
Okay.
He's got a wife. He's married with 2 kids. But ew. Hi, Anne. Welcome in, Total Riders. Good to see you. Hope Uncle was good to you. Of course he was. I will say nothing. Nothing. So, Turtle Riders, we are just getting through Kerry Roberts' testimony, checking out her facial expressions, her words, how she says those words, her body language, seeing whether we can work out now what we know now, whether Kerry Roberts was complicit in things, whether she was dragged in by Jen McCabe, well, obviously, whether she was, whether she is lying here. We've worked out that there are times when she's clearly going by Jen's script.
Sorry, Karen, one moment.
Thank you, Shari. Mwah, I love you. And Nicole got one. Yay!
I have no further questions for this one, Sharon.
Okay. Ms. Little?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Your next witness, Mr. Lally?
Yes, Your Honor, the Commonwealth call Miss Laura Sullivan to the stand.
Let's watch the Slutty Sullivan sisters for a bit. Yoli here now. Let's do it. Is she? Bukaki Ducksworth. Good name, by the way. Goodness gracious. A
And
little
Mr.
sprinkle
Lally,
of
I'd like you
green,
to tell me
yes.
when you want me to give that instruction.
I think it's,
So just wave it from it. Flag it for me.
Yay! That's awesome, Nicole. Come on, Laura. We'll watch a little bit, then I'll call it. We'll just see. Take Bev's doing some writing, planning out her weekend. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the evidence you give the court during the case now and hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Nice.
Laura Sullivan, Sullivan.
And where do you live?
Pembroke, Massachusetts.
And how long have you lived in Pembroke?
Almost 6 years.
And who, if anyone, do you live in Pembroke with?
I don't know.
have
Can we do any
my
more who,
my
if
boyfriend
anyone's?
and our 3 children. 2 stepchildren that are with us half the time, and then my son, Ben.
I don't know, chat. I don't know. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Nicole wishes she was in Aruba and not in Massachusetts. I think anywhere in the world would be better than Massachusetts these days, surely. Well, chat, thank you so much. What do we think? Okay, so what do we think? What do we think? Yeah, who is Bukaki Ducksworth? Who is you? Hey, while you're here, wait, I'll stop sharing. Well, we won't watch any of this lovely lass because she's not so lovely. I don't know. Lots of Karen shade, not interested. Michelle, thank you so much. Yay, 5 shorty memberships. Congratulations to whoever got those. Bukaki Ducksworth, Becca, Plymouth Pug, Puckwuggy, IDB, and Alicia. Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. That's really kind of you. And wow, I like your display picture. Poppy, please. It looks a lot like this. Michelle's display picture is the same as my sticker. If you would like one of these, I have about 120 left. Limited edition, free Karen Reid sticker designed by me. If you would like one, all you need to do is make a direct donation to Karen's Defence Fund or her Venmo or her PayPal. Take a screenshot of your receipt and either email that screenshot to me and email or DM me on Twitter or Facebook or Discord, and I will have one of my helpers or myself send you one out. If you're in Australia, I'll send it. If you're in the States, I have helpers over there. $10 donation, $10 to $49 will get you one. For $50 to $99 will get you 2, and $100 or more donation to Karen's Defence Fund. 3 of these bad boys. 120 left. So Adam, I think will probably have dropped the or be about to drop the membership. Focus, shorty. Drop the link to the Karen's Legal Defence Fund. Pay to it. Yes, great cause. Get on it while there's still some left. It's beautiful quality vinyl. Mine's a bit dog-eared because this is my display one. Vinyl sticker. You can put it on your car. You can put it on your Stanley mug. You can put it on your laptop, wherever you like. Tumblr. So yeah. Nicole, you're already in, babe. You're already in. Yeah, Michelle, I'm the same. I don't want to stick it anywhere either. But I never like to stick stickers somewhere because it's a waste. So, but I did stick one on my hard hat, which is pretty cool. So I'm representing Free Karen Reid at work, which, I got to work night shift tonight. It's fast approaching. 4 hours and I'll be at work. Peasant work shit, yikes. So there's that. Thank you all for being here. But shall we do a bit of a wrap up? What do you think? What do I think? Start saying in the chat what you think about Kerry Roberts. I think, was it Shari? probably hit the nail on the head. I think probably Kerry Roberts has never been part of the gang, part of the cool kids club in Canton. Uh, she went bowling. She wasn't at the waterfall that night. Hang on, I'm taking my earbuds out. Wait. And then I'll mute it and I'll unmute myself because 4 times muted in one night is no good for anyone. So when she was called upon by, hi Poppy, Poppy's saying hi, hey baby. When she was called upon by Jen McCabe and or Karen Reid, I think she felt, okay, the cool kids are asking me for some help here. I think that she definitely had a crush on Officer John O'Keefe since high school, yes. And yes, Kerry sucks. And I think that it all, pardon the pun, snowballed from there. I think that Jen McCabe obviously gave her the narrative, got in her ear from the jump, manipulated as Jennifer McCabe is very wont to do, a lifelong obsession, ability, need to manipulate and control. And yes, Lorna and Amber, Kerry was transformed into a flying monkey by the head flying monkey herself. Very good. I like it. And then I think there was some lies there. Well, some narrative, some scripted stuff in Kerry Roberts' testimony. I think her crying, her tears were authentic. I think that she was crying in being taken back to the moment. That awful video from the dash cam of the cruiser was awful for us, and to see it in court, I'm sure it was even worse. And Kerry was there that night, so yes, they all lied. Oh yes, Scott McGuinness, absolutely. So I was wondering why, given that at the time, Kerry's testimony seemed somewhat innocuous, somewhat credible, somewhat. The fact that defense didn't cross-examine her made me think, oh, well, obviously they don't see anything they need to pick apart. In reviewing this testimony, we did kind of see a few things. There was some impeachable moments that they didn't choose to impeach on. Nicole probably doesn't know exactly what happened, scared for her life of Jen McCabe, knows if she cracks, there'll be repercussions by the McAlberts. I agree. And so why was she invited along that day to the closing arguments? Well, to keep her close to the circle. Her testimony is important to the McCabes, the McAlberts, the Alberts. 2 on the way, Shari. I sent you 2 because yikes. PTSD, definitely. I think she's out of her depth, says Ducati girl. Yes. So I think she was brought in on that final day of closing arguments to make sure that she still feels like she's in the gang. She is needed. She is an important member. She's not. She's just a minion. She served her purpose, and they need to make sure she continues to serve her purpose. I have questions as to whether Peggy O'Keefe actually suggested they write a timeline, or whether that was Jennifer McCabe suggesting it, and the narratives got all switched around because that's what they do. Kerry should talk before she gets thrown under a bus. She was the only one that cried real tears. Yes. Well, if she was in love with Officer John O'Keefe. Oh, hi, Hate Corruption. Good to see you. We're just wrapping up. You'll have to go back and watch from the start. It's been a really interesting thing. I think this was a fantastic thought exercise, yeah. I think it was important. I mentioned at the start that I didn't recall really any or many creators reviewing this testimony because it wasn't sexy, yeah. There was no cross-examination by anybody, full stop. So here we are going over it again, and I think it's been interesting and great to hear fucking Lally again. Hard, not great. A couple of Bev moments. Yes, subscribe, like, share, subscribe, comment after the stream's ended so it gets this stream into the YouTube algorithm. Welcome to new members. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships from me 5 and me 5. Thanks, YouTube. Love your work. LC became a member. Shari D gifted out 1. Shari D gifted out 1. And Michelle Smith gifted out 5. Thanks, ladies. Love your faces so much. Okay. It wasn't sexy. Well, it wasn't sexy, yeah. Who wants to listen to Lally again? Like literally nobody. So people not often did I rewatch any of Lally's direct examination, really ever, but I watched a lot of the cross examinations many times because they're exciting. There was fireworks, there was bombshells, there was impeachment after impeachment. It was just wild. This didn't seem to be wild. It wasn't wild. It was painful, emotional, watching Kerry Roberts, obviously feel very real emotions wherever they were coming from, grieving the loss of John, the reminder, the PTSD of the trauma of that night. Yikes. Tricky. But if she really cared for Officer John O'Keefe, she should speak the fuck up. She is just as guilty in my eyes, but I did have some sympathy for her until she showed up to closing arguments. Yes, Nicole. I didn't necessarily have sympathy, but I certainly felt that she wasn't that much of an integral part of the cover-up. But really, whether it was that she got roped in and manipulated by Jennifer McCabe or whether she knew more, and we'll probably never know, she did still actively participate in all of it, yeah? And from her testimony just now, and if you're just joining, I really recommend you go back and watch it again. It's quite interesting. We rewound some things. We zoomed in on some stuff. I muted myself about 3 times, so that's always cute. Jen is the youngest of 4 sisters. Would have assumed she's the oldest, the bully, but I can see the bully being the youngest. Yeah, I can see that. Yes, like, share, subscribe. What did it say? It skipped up, you guys. Wait, we got Lally was disappointed that he couldn't get Kerry to say that Karen said I hit him 3 times. But he did get her to say a couple of times that Karen didn't take her shoes off when she walked in the house, which obviously makes for a murderer. Not. And Lally was using that line in his closing, in his summation. Ugh, worst. I mean, I assume he wrote it before. It wasn't real good. Poppy, please, no. Don't lick me. I love you. Don't lick me. Stop licking me. Also, I now understand why Jen is a hoe, sleeping with her older sister's husband, biatch. I mean, she's just an all-around piece of work, isn't she? 100%. It's hard for me to comprehend how Kerry hasn't seen the light. I think people don't want to. Who wants to believe they've been hoodwinked? Same with the Mr. and Mrs. O'Keefe. Same with Paul. It's easier to die on a hill than it is to admit that you were possibly wrong. Not just that you were wrong, but that you fell victim to some very serious manipulators, and not just manipulators of any kind, but manipulating murderers, right? Yikes. Yeah, maybe she just couldn't. I'm waiting for Leveson to cave. Yeah, I don't know, man. I reckon she might cave into being sectioned, the poor girl. I have a lot of sympathy for Sarah Levinson. I hate to think what was the menacing presence of Brian Albert in that house in the aftermath in those early hours of the morning. What threats were made, yeah? It's very sad. Very sad. Oh, God. I'm taking my time. Taking my sweet-ass time. Yes, now she is part of the conspiracy. Shame. Shame. Shari D says, I so wanted Alan Jackson to break Kerry on the stand and for Paul to say the defense was scared of Kerry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, nah. I just, you know what I thought when they didn't cross-examine her at the time? I thought, makes sense. There was nothing too wild about that. It just, compared to some of the other bullshit witnesses, it seemed all right. But now we know what we know, yeah, which is why we went over and reviewed this because does Lally actually know how many times he's said what, if any? I don't know. Why has there never been more mention of the two other persons who are supposedly in the house? According to Sean, I think isn't one of them the daughter of a police officer, and the other one? So many questions, right? We all have questions. What else we got here? We need Poppy and Buster emojis. You know what? We need more members so I can add more emojis into the mix. I'm at my maximum until we get more members. Sadly, YouTube is very strict on how many emotes we can have to use for members. It's a reward for more members. So bring that shit on, yeah? Scott McGuinness, a wealth of knowledge. I'm trying to get Scott to come on as a guest, but he has a very honorable requirement that he spends his weekend evenings with his lovely lady, and I respect that. But still, lots of hard pressure, Scott. Kerry Roberts initially could have excuses of ignorance, but eventually she has none. These people were all dragged into a federal grand jury by the FBI and the Department of Justice, were onto their cover-up facts. Hoodwinked times. Sharon. Oh, for duck's sake, who takes their shoes off when they're so hysterical and panicked over where their loved one is? Exactly, Lisa. When we got to that point, I made the point that I would have been more concerned if she did have the wherewithal to stop and take off her shoes. And someone else in the chat, sorry, I can't remember who, said, well, probably Karen was the one who mopped the damn floor. So she probably thought, fuck it, if she even thought of it all, I'll wear my shoes and I'll mop it after. This is not important right now. I mean, if Jen slept with her sister's husband, how many other men did she sleep with for the power over others? I don't want to think about how many people Jen McCabe slept with. Maybe that's where one of her teeth went. All liars, facts. Thanks, Morna. Mwah, 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 mwah. Love you over in Perth, girl. Thank you. Morna Slocum. Ernie Birdie, Morna is in Perth, so it's 4 hours behind me over there. So it's whatever that is, maths. 12, 10, quarter to 11 in the morning, I think. I think that's right. Yep. The daughter of the guy who went to the Unetti. Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. Thanks, Ducati girl. 100%. Yes. I love when you agree with me. Hate corruption. Lol. Straight up. Why was it okay to mention the girls that was there earlier as being in the house, but Colin was left out? Ali was even mentioned. Well, Eric Michaels, I'm glad you asked. Chat didn't necessarily agree with me, but it is my opinion that my theory is that Colin was the person who delivered the fatal blow from behind, like the pussy little bitch that he is. I think that John descended down the stairs into the basement. Waiting down below were Chloe, who was not in the bedroom upstairs. She was in the basement with Higgy and Brian Albert. I think that we know that his steps started show that Officer John O'Keefe ascended the stairs, walked to the top of the stairs. I think Colin was there. Colin menaced him or whatever, got him to go turn back around again. He went back down. Colin followed him down. I think that Brian Albert held Chloe off, not very well, but a little bit. I think that Higgy delivered the front punches, and then Colin, in my speculative opinion, grabbed a weight off the weight bench and thwacked Officer John O'Keefe in the back of the head. Chat didn't really necessarily agree with me, but for me, there needs to be some reason as to why it was so important for Colin to not be in the house that night. There has to be a utility of that lie. That's my opinion. Come for me, just not legally. And Jen was stalling. Karen wanted to get back out to look for John. Yes. And they called the non-emergency police line. So they didn't even call. They didn't want first responders there. No. It's not an emergency. We don't need first responders out. Not yet. Right? Gross. I didn't know that Jen slept with. Yeah, Ernie Birdie. Jen slept with Brian Albert. Big bad Brian A. Yeah? Yuck. Yes, thank you, Sharon. Let's have some decorum in the chat, please. Let's not think about Jen McCabe sleeping with anyone. Her and Nicole, Coco, sisters. Yes, 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 yes. Shorty, was it? What time is it there? It is 8 minutes to 3 p.m. I start work in 3.5 hours. Fuck my life. Peasant work. I have fear for the people in Canton. Yes. Went on a date. Wait. Adam went on a date with Jen McCabe once. It was exactly as bad as you think it would be. Oh my God, you've made me stumble over my words. Yikes, Adam, we need to talk. Yes, actually, yes, same. I love Yannetti. He's beautiful. Out of, I mean, they're all amazing, but Yannetti's just got, he's so chivalrous too. I love him. Love. Ha ha ha. Karen Reid was in no way thinking about taking her shoes off, her fucking shoes off after being dragged back. Yes, yes, yes. Agree. Agree. That too, Ernie. Yes. What do we got? Jackson is fun also. Yeah, I love them both. But if we're talking about thirsty viewing, Yannetti all the way for me. Well, thank you, Ducati girl. I like it. Yay, Ruthie. Now I'm getting some folks on my side. Oh, also, I fell over his knuckles too, though. I fell, yeah, because he was defending himself against the front stuff, yeah, but then can't defend yourself against a sucker punch with a fucking weight. I was tripped over by one of my big dogs, Bussy, last week on Friday, and I would like chat to know that I did not land on my knuckles. I very much landed on here, and it's still sore and bruised right to the bone. So, knuckles, Albert, hard no over there. No, it changed last night morning. Oh, are you not 4 hours behind? Anyway, there you go. That's the time in Perth. Thanks, Morna. Me and calculations. Oh. Also, and so important for Officer John O'Keefe to come to the house. They lured him there. Absolutely. Karen, you're coming with me. It's a surprise. Sydney Sue, I think John was sucker punched coming down the stairs, fell back and hit his head. When he tried to get back up, they attacked him. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. But that doesn't really make any I go back to Colin every time. Why was it so important that Colin wasn't in the house, right? That doesn't really take into account any of it. And Colin's a little bitch. Have you seen him fight? We've seen Colin's fighting. He's a pathetic fighter. He's not fighting. He's like bitch slapping and shit. It makes sense to me that little shit would come up behind thinking he's a tough guy and hit John in the back of the head with a weight. I think Cauliflower would have to use something like a weight because he's a pussy bitch fighter. Thank you, Michelle. Yes, that's their official terms. Haha, 3 p.m. in Australia, Sunday. So weird. Yes, amazing how the world turns and we go around the sun and the sun, like, it's cool, huh? Scott, you're funny. I hope work isn't too torturous and goes by smoothly. Thanks. It's going to be an epic night. Ugh, kind of stressful. I'm running a crew of like traffic controllers. There's 3 others. There should be 4. It's going to be good. Good money, but double time, baby. $60 an hour. Yeah, 65. Yeah. Yeah, Adam, but are you talking about shagging or no one's shagging any of your defense attorneys, right? Thank you for spending all your spare time with us. Thank you, LB. Hope work goes well and congratulations on your new RV, Adam and Lisa. Yes. At this point now, what time did I start streaming? So 3 hours and 2 hours, 5 hours and 8.5 hours yesterday. So in less than like just over 24 hours, I've streamed for my brain already. 5 and like 13, 14 hours almost. 14 hours. Spare time. What even is that? I think she stumbled into it. Jen sucked her into her web. Yes, Karen. Yes. 2 p.m. in Queensland. Daylight savings kicked in last night. Do you have daylight savings? Oh, no, duh, obviously. Yeah. Shh, Lisa, rewind. Thoughts, Scott McGuinness. Nah, that knuckle damage photo doesn't coincide with the event. Are you talking about but even his testimony, Colin's testimony about falling in the ice. Okay, champ. Okay. No, Brian Higgins told that in a bar story, but I don't believe it because He was the one who had beef with John, yeah? Usually lies have some element of the truth in them. So I believe he just flipped that story so that he wasn't the one beating on John, and it was Brian. But why would Brian be beating on John? Doesn't make any sense. Trust me, I know things. They tried to keep John and Karen separated the entire night at the bars. Yeah, there was a bit. Mwah! Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Mods. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Ernie. Amy in Boston was here a bit. Jess, yes, I said that. Who else? Brain. Forgetting someone. Amber. Beautiful. My beautiful mod squad. Love you, Mod Avengers. Miss Shorty, thank you, Anne. I love being validated. Tell me I'm right and I'll feel good about myself. No, I don't need to be right. Yes. The cut from the head is from the stair tread. Possibly. Not in my opinion, but that's all right. We don't have to agree. We'll probably never know. Working tonight too. Thoughts and prayers, Michelle. Thoughts and prayers. I'd shag Jackson over Nettie. Okay. Well, that's okay then, because I'd shag Nettie over Jackson, so we don't have to even worry about sharing. All right, chat. Oh my God, this is going to go forever. I'm getting so far behind. Scott McGinnis, what are you talking about? Scott McGinnis, what are you talking about? Scott knows what Scott's talking about, and Scott usually knows what's what. So thank you, Lisa, Mods and Shorties. Yes, thank you, Chad. It's been a fun. Yeah, could be. It also cracked his skull, yeah? Could be. Mwah! Thanks, Amber. Love your work. Mods, best mods in the business. Every channel says that, but I'm pretty fond of my mod squad, my mod Avengers. Yes. Okay. Phew. Yes. Girl, she's all yours. Mods rock. Yes. Sorry, Michelle, you have, many hours of Shorty to catch up on. Camp Shorty. And tomorrow night, we have Daisy, Live, Love, Hoogan, and I. So Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I've sorted out my StreamYard thing now. Daylight savings can suck my dick. So we're doing a stream. Let's talk sex work. Daisy and I are going to talk about some of the stigma about sex work. It's not a members only stream. She's going to pick my brain about things. We both have thoughts about the impact that sex work has on sex workers. I know Daisy doesn't like that term, sex workers, prostitutes, hoes, escorts. What do you want to call us? I don't mind. Yes, Amy's still here. I was a sex worker for 5 years, an escort, high paid, high end. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, yikes. So make sure you subscribe to Adam Drives Helen. He did the video for my outro song. Make sure you subscribe to Turd Ferguson, aka Melissa Asylum. She wrote the song and did the video. What time is it in Melbourne? It is 3 p.m. Yes. That here, Melbourne. What? God, you're challenging me. 10, 11 a.m. tomorrow, Elle. Yeah. It'll be, once I schedule it, I haven't done the schedule yet. Once I schedule it, it'll come up on upcoming. So you better see. Yeah. Interesting. I did not know that. Are you commenting on my sex work status, Scott? Well, you haven't been paying attention, have you? Didn't you wonder about my fucking lips? They're not real sensible for regular folk, are they? Shakes. So I love your faces. I haven't looked up Rachel. I haven't done anything, mate. I haven't even been watching Turtle Boy. Remind me. Send me a link, Ducati Girl. Are you on Discord? Everyone join my Discord. Join Adam's Discord. Subscribe to Adam. Subscribe to me. Yes. Okay, that's enough now. I could keep going. Chat will never stop because I love your faces. Thanks, Turtle Riders, for coming in after the stream. Now go back and watch the rest, yeah? Peace out, yeah? Let's go. Mwah! Happy Sunday. Sunday. Bye.